good evening, my Robo family, all my rebels out here, all the rebel-minded people, all the people who are rebelling against any systems that look to oppress or hinder Black people from being great. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And tonight's live stream, um, I'm a connoisseur of boxing. I like boxing, and I like the sport. I like the chess match of the sport, the uh, physicality of the sport. So the thumbnail that you're looking at is kind of a play on boxing, and it's to discuss something that I saw here on out in the YouTube streets. And right now, Kevin Samuels is the looked at as the probably the one of the most popular content creators on YouTube, and in especially, oh, excuse me, in the Black YouTube space, I should say. And he right now, I guess, if he's not the most popular, he's one of the most. And it seems that there's some people some brothers who have come to take the brother's title, if you will. Um, and there's five other brothers on the thumbnail with him under Kevin Samuels here. And if you're looking at the thumbnail on the far left, the individual with "Black Men Don't Cheat" on his T-shirt is none other than Derek Jackson. And to his left, or moving towards the right, this brother needs no introduction. It is Dr. Umar Johnson. And in the middle, it is the Reverend Creflo Dollar. And to his left, continue moving to the right, is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And the last brother on the far right in the black and white is Professor Omowale. And I rock with Professor Omowale's content. He has pretty good content. He's a pretty intelligent brother. But I saw some things that made me want to jump on a live stream here and dissect and take a look and really understand what's going on here. And out of these five brothers, at least four of them have credibility issues. The first four that we talked about have credibility issues. And I want to start with this first guy here. And this infamous photo, we know where it comes from. Derek Jackson, he's type of I don't know if you call a life coach for women, I guess, who advises women on dating prospects, or love. Is he a love guru? I don't know exactly how he describes himself, but he makes videos, writes books, and so forth, pandering to Black women specifically, or particularly women, women in general, Black women in particular. And he while doing so, while pandering to Black women, he would debase Black men and say a lot of negative things about Black men. And wouldn't you know that Derek Jackson gets caught cheating when he has on a T-shirt that says "Black men don't cheat"? So I guess he's not black. And he said a lot of things that the exact things that he got caught doing, he was criticizing Black men for doing. So Black women would big up him for Black men need to get it together, Black men are dogs, Black men don't do this, Black men do this, and so forth and so on. And any Black man who ever heard a Derek Jackson video understood right away that this guy was lying. He was full of crap. Well, anyway, he got caught cheating, but before he did also have take issue with Kevin Samuels. In particular, he was reacting to the video, the average at best video, and he has some negative things to say, and in particular, to do what most people do, which is to try to question the brother's sexuality for whatever reason. He hates Black women. Some say he's feminine, whatever it is, tried to question sexuality, and that's where Derek Jackson was. So this is one of the women that he got that exposed him. One of the women, that he was allegedly caught dealing with had gotten pregnant and had an abortion. And so he had his wife up there with his on his apology tour. So this brother has a serious credibility issue. He never had black men were never his core audience. They were never his foundation. And I guess black women are still rocking with him because now that only makes him even more human. But in terms of being in a position to where Kevin Samuels will be, to where black men and black women may listen to him and take support him and subscribe to the channel, watch the videos, what have you. It's not going to happen for Derek Jackson. So he's lost women. He's lost a lot of women. He's never had men. So he failed at his shot at the title. Next, brother Dr. Boyce Watkins here. Dr. Boyce Watkins has a PhD in finance. He's been a college professor. Uh, he's never really been. He has a YouTube or media company business for the most part. He does some investing. He has some good tips there, but he was pretty much exposed. Pocket watching with JT and the lead attorney did excellent breakdowns of this brother's business acumen and some of the legal stuff and just him in general as a person. He also has a credibility issue because of those things. Not to mention, he was partnered with this guy Charles Wu, who basically said Boyce was our prop guy, and he built a product that tugged on the heartstrings of black people with his black wealth boot camps and black business for kids and so forth and so on. This was a Charles Wu invention, according to Charles Wu, and they were in this particular Zoom call, and this is when they were discussing the strategy of how to get black people to buy that product. So the whole brains behind the operation was this guy Charles Wu. Boyce Watkins also has a credibility issue with black women. How many black women have been on his platform and they accuse him of taking money, not paying them? A lot of from Michi X's to the um, I think it's Danica. I can't think of her name, but it's quite a few, about three or four black women that was on his platform making videos on his platform. Yvette Carnell. They all fell out with this guy and accused him of stealing money. He also has a credibility issue with black men when he was running around here calling black men all kinds of names because black men wanted to exercise a preference in not dealing with baby mamas. And Boyce, went on this thing of calling black men names and so forth. And, it's 2021. Black men are just not going to take that laying down. Um, you know, Boyce would get trolled on his Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. He started turning off his comments, and he finally just left that whole topic alone. He just immediately he left it alone because he used to try to say this, where people called him a simp for marrying a black woman, and that wasn't the case, and he knew that wasn't the case. The case was trying to tell single black men who didn't have children to deal with or marry black women who had babies out of wedlock and had sketchy baby daddies or whatever. That's why he was being called a simp. So, and then we saw he got the business for this because Boyce Watkins finally got pimped himself. That's his wife there, Dr. Alicia Watkins. From what I can see, nice lady, whatever. I'm glad, he got married. It's another black couple getting together. That's great for the black community. But, she pimped Boyce. And, there's a video on my channel discussing that in more detail. But, let's keep going. So the next guy, this guy, well, what a piece of crap. So, oh, and I'm sorry, before I forget, Boyce Watkins did pretty much the same thing with Kevin Samuels it was the same thing over and over, question of sexuality. They even have some people that they know in common, but after he questioned Kevin's sexuality, and Kevin basically would not think to work with him, even though they had people in common. Same thing that he did with Kwame Brown. So many people, even Tariq called Boyce messy, because Boyce stays in some type of stays in some type of drama. And then we see that Dr. Alicia Watkins is some type of couples counselor. So it seems that Boyce was trying to um, get get Kevin, attack Kevin Samuels' credibility, so he can make room for his wife to be in the same space to give advice on relationships and launch her online presence, her YouTube presence, and online counseling. So Boyce has a credibility problem as well. But anyway, so back to this guy. This guy is Creflo Dollar. We know this guy. What is it? World Changers Ministries. I think he's the pastor of. This. You know, this guy's a piece of crap because he's dealing with a lot of black people who have the least amount of wealth in the United States. This guy is like, hey, I need $65 million to get a private jet. And we understand why he took a shot at Kevin Samuels in one of his sermons. He basically was telling women, have some dignity and so forth. You don't need a man. You don't have to get a man. You could do bad by yourself. Yes, they could do bad by themselves so they can keep coming to the church praying and giving you money. That's exactly why these guys don't want these women to get married, because they understand, hey, look, if these women get married, men are not going to the church the way they used to. Men today, black men today, are not attending church like they used to. And if they start marrying these sisters, then guess what? Creflo Dollars, his lifeline is going to be cut off. That's $65 million for that private jet is going by the wayside. But Creflo Dollar has no standing. He's been a pastor for however many years, and he's done nothing to remedy the pairing crisis that we have in the black community, to where black women are 26% or whatever it is, less than 30%. I'll say that. I don't know exactly what it is for 2021, but it's been reported that 26% of black women will get married in their lifetime, only once in their lifetime, will ever get married in their lifetime. 26% is terrible. And then just the New York Times just released the article stating that 62% of black women will remain single, or most likely to be single, and they are the highest demographic to most likely be single. But what is he doing to remedy that in his church? Right? He could put that $65 million towards, getting black women married, black men and black women married, to help the community continue to grow. Here's my brother, Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson is a smart guy, says a lot of good stuff, a lot of good things. He had an excellent idea with the school, but the school that he wanted to do for boys, lofty, lofty goal, great idea. He just doesn't know how to execute, and then he has a credibility issue. So Dr. Umar Johnson, first thing that he had the credibility issue with, that he was exposed for, is to run around telling everybody that he was celibate. Now nobody really gave a crap about his sex life. He wanted to put that out there and say, hey, I'm celibate. And then it turns up he's messing with a chick named the Conscious Stripper, and this is all alleged, by the way. And she stated, she's the one that exposed him, and that, hey, I've been dealing with him, and kind of exposed some text messages between them. And this is another shot of her. Now, Dr. Umar is the one that's always saying that he's going to marry two queens, and they got to be, naturally nappy, no fake nothing, no fake this and that and the third. and this sister had blonde weave and so forth. So he was exposed from that aspect. That was the first thing, right? And then it began to snowball downhill, and with the school, because at the time, he before all this happened with the credibility issue, it's like, okay, that's a good idea. We need a school for boys. Very lofty goals and ideas. That's something that the community should back him on, and so forth. But because he has such a grandiose idea of himself, you know um it's the self-inflicted, the ego, his ego couldn't see doing anything on a small scale. He had to do something on a very large scale. I have to get a college, and I have to purchase a college and have a living campus, and we need $5 million. And so he had all this money sitting around for years. Upwards of 750,000 is what it was reported. And now, and he never did anything with the school. I mean, he could have easily have purchased any one of those elementary schools. I think he's from Philly. Philly at the time when he started this thing, Philadelphia was closing a lot of elementary schools. He could have easily purchased one of those with, even if he only had 250,000, whatever he had, he could have purchased an elementary school, renovated it, and started the school years ago. But I'm Big Papa, I got to do something grand. What happened was, so many people started to complain. The money that he had in GoFundMe, he actually lost, because GoFundMe, he would not respond to the GoFundMe request for information that whatever he had, and then they wind up killing the campaign, the GoFundMe campaign, and those and some other things that he, even now with the school, there's a lot of chicanery with him reporting certain things to the IRS. Again, pocket watching with JT. Go subscribe to that brother's channel. He did an excellent breakdown of the forms, because it's all uh, public information that Umar has to report to the IRS. Is public information. The brother JT, he got the information and did a review on what does this stuff actually mean. He's reporting he made a certain amount of money to the IRS, but then on his live stream, he's on his Instagram live stream, he's saying he made this amount of money. So there's all kinds of credibility issues there with this brother. But hopefully he does have some type of school. Hopefully he will get it up and running sometime. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. It was supposed to be running now, but I can only just, because it ultimately, if he gets it going, it will be something. Um, it will be something lofty for black boys to have a place to go and learn African history, and learn some of the things that he wanted to teach in the curriculum. And again, and not to be, I don't know, this guy has a bit of a problem. But if you want to know all of the information about Dr. Umar Johnson, just search on YouTube Lennon Honor. I think that guy has such an obsession with Umar Johnson is actually unhealthy, but he has. Uh, uh, if Umar post a live stream 5 seconds long, Lennon Honor Lennon Honor will have a 2 hour clip breaking down those 5 seconds. I mean, that brother is hilarious, but I think it's unhealthy, this obsession with Dr. Umar Johnson that Lennon Honor has. And so these are the brothers that all have credibility issues. Now, the last brother, Professor Omowale, like I said, smart brother, intelligent brother. I don't. How can I put this? Let's see. He might. Well, he doesn't have a credibility issue like these guys. Let me state that. Hold on. Let me just be clear. Okay, he has he hasn't done any of the nefarious things that these other four guys have done, right? Um, Actually, I'm sorry, I'm being remiss. I forgot Umar's issue with Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels may have taken a bit of a shot at him first in terms of a lot of women call up and say, "Hey, talk to us like Dr. Umar talks to us," and so forth. And then Kevin kind of Big Papa, that I'm the Prince of Pan African, kind of mocking Umar and so forth. And then Umar responded, so that's kind of where that went. But in terms of actually helping black women get married, uh, Umar isn't doing that either. He and Boyce Watkins have baby mamas out there that, Boyce Watkins just decided to get married at 50. Umar is pushing 50 and still talking about getting married to two black women. And then they kind of both had smoke for Kevin Samuels because he's been married and divorced twice, both the black women. But at least he tried. Umar hasn't tried yet, and Boyce just finally tied the knot. But they both uh, helped produce kids out of wedlock. Umar two, Boyce at least one, and they have baby mamas because they didn't marry those women. So, but anyway, back to Omowale. Excellent content creator, writer, professor. I like the brother's content. Uh, I actually was following him before. I think I was following him on Twitter. I didn't really. I would see him in YouTube. He wasn't really active on YouTube. His YouTube channel wasn't really active, and he would show up on different panels, so forth and so on. He's a self-admitted Garveyite, Pan Africanist. I do agree with those philosophies and so forth. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a Garveyite or a Pan Africanist, but I do understand the merit to those ideologies. But I want to get into some of the things that he's been saying lately. When he started off on Kevin Samuels, I thought it was a pretty fair assessment based on what I knew of Kevin Samuels at the time, and I guess based on what he knew at the time as well. It was a pretty fair assessment. So I want to go through some of the things that he said and see if we can flesh out exactly where he's at now, and to see if there's any merit there to um, him actually having an issue with Kevin Samuels and so forth. But let's see here. So I'm going to get into some of his clips here, and let's see what. Okay, so the first clip is actually he was analyzing the issue between. I wouldn't say issue, but when Dr. Umar made his response to Kevin Samuels, a live stream that Umar did, and kind of um, responding to what he thought was Kevin Samuels taking shots at him, which he there was some merit there. He actually did a breakdown. Omowale did a breakdown of that, and it was pretty good breakdown. And I'm gonna see if I can pull up where the first part I want to talk about here. I'm gonna start there.
All right, cool. So yeah, like I said, I'll stop sharing there, and I'll get into the meat of the discussion tonight. Right. So yesterday, I had a really long conversation with a friend of mine who I really respect. Uh, a brother, who I always call on for advice, or when I have questions or whatever, just about marriage, right? Because he's married. He's a few years older than me. He's been married for longer than me, but we respect each other. So we talk about marriage, finances, shit that is going on in our lives, right? So I know he's been busy. I've been busy. So the whole Kevin Samuels thing became a part of our conversation yesterday, due to the to the Umar situation. And he asked me because he had never even heard of Kevin Samuels. You know what I mean? So he asked me, well, who is he, and like, why is it an issue? Um, and my response was simply that Kevin Samuels is some dude who kind of like blew up in the midst of COVID because a viral clip of him uh, kind of like got out there. It took off and it got everybody talking about it. And he went from like 3,000 subscribers to 800,000 subscribers, like within like a 3 or 4 month time span, right? So the thing that I pointed out to him is that the reason why this dude who is he's an image consultant, right? But he's someone who has been around what they refer to as like the manosphere. He's been around the manosphere speaking to black men who seek out that type of advice, for a fairly long time. So I had stated that the reason why he blew up, though, the way that he did, going from 3,000 subscribers to almost a million subscribers in less than 4 months, is due to the fact that the scab that he peeled off, right, or the pain point that he touched in our community is a very real pain point, right? He wouldn't have been able to gain the traction that he gained for his messaging if it didn't have an element of truth. Now he's very transparent in the fact that he says that a lot of what he does is for for economic reasons. Like he's investing his time and energy into that particular platform that he's building, so that it can provide for him a return, an economic return. So he's very open, um, or transparent in that regard, right? In addition to that, uh, what was the other point? Y'all got to forgive me because I didn't take no notes. So y'all really getting a random stream of consciousness.
Okay, so let me pause it there. So he's going to talk about the valid points that Kevin Samuels brought up, and he said that he wouldn't have blown up if it wouldn't have been a valid pain point, and it's something that is, you know, I guess. Well, let him keep on. Let me just let him continue. He continues.
Of course, I organize my thoughts in my mind, so I know kind of like what I want to say, but I might have to like pick around from room to room to figure it all out and get it to y'all. So y'all just bear with me, but I promise y'all gonna get it all. But in addition to him being honest and transparent about his aims and objectives, right? His economic aims and objectives of building his platform. Um, he is also clear that the reason why his platform is successful is because he adds an entertainment component to it, right? It's very well produced, you know what I mean? Like the layout, the professionalism, like, all of that, when it comes to his show, which is why he's really built almost like a cult following overnight, because he was very intentional with his approach to content creation, right? So if you ever go to one of his lives, and like I said, I'm not a viewer, but I exist in a household. I'm not going to say any names, but I exist in a household where another adult in the house um, watches, and then we end up having conversations about what was discussed. So that's how I'm, pretty much informed as to what's going on. But just being in the proximity of somebody who watches the Kevin Samuel show when it comes, I think it comes on like 5 nights a week. Um, there's some things that I've noticed right away. Like, I mean, like the dude consistently, has like more than 20,000 folks like viewing live. Even before the show goes live, there's like 5 or 6,000 people that are just engaging with each other in the group chat. So like, he's done something right, to build an audience. And I want to speak to what that is that I think that he did right. So in my opinion, the reason why Kevin Samuels has had so much success because the issue that allowed him to gain traction is a real issue, right? So if you look at the subtext of this particular video on YouTube, I titled it, I think I said it's the hidden crisis within the black dating pool, and what Kevin Samuels was able to bring to the attention of the masses is that on the black woman side of the dating pool, I didn't mean to use air quotes, but on the black woman side of the dating pool, especially amongst younger women, there happens to be um, a great deal of a delusion, um, as in, and one delusion, I mean like, not necessarily existing in reality, or having their reality shaped by Hollywood or reality TV, or just expectations that are just not real. And I think that a big part of what Kevin Samuels tries to do is to bring some of these folks back down to earth. Now, inherently within that whole, like I said, if you talk about Kevin Samuels' genealogy, right, before he even started speaking to and or about black women, his audience was like that black, what they refer to as incel community, right? So these are, the dudes who have trouble getting women, or whatever the case may be. They have some challenges and they seek advice from people like Kevin to try to overcome the challenges that they have in the real world, right? So the genealogy of that particular community, it's called MGTOW, which is men going their own way, and Red Pill. But that particular community has its roots in the white MGTOW community, which has always been very racist, both anti-black male and anti-black female.
And let me stop him here. He's correct there, and those guys acknowledge that, and that is why they started their own Black Manosphere, because they understood the racism in the quote unquote greater manosphere, white manosphere, or the manosphere in general. They do know that, and the reason why I'm trying to let some of this play so you can get an idea of how fair and even-handed Omowale was in this particular video, and this was probably May of this year, 2021, when he did this video, and to where he is now, and then like what's changed from May till now, and it's October. So what has changed? So I'm gonna get right back to he's gonna get into the portion around here.
Kevin Samuels uses his platform. A part of it is him attempting to get black men a better deal in the dating market. And I wouldn't have a problem with that per se if he wasn't doing it at the expense of black women. And what I mean by that is there is a a portion of what he does that has value. And the portion of that is where he is displaying that when it comes to black male and black female relationships, there is a significant and growing segment of black women who believe that 95% or more of black men are beneath them, and they would never date them in a million years. And
Okay, so he admits there that this thing is a problem because he said earlier that it's a real issue in the community. He said it was with younger sisters, and I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's with sisters across the board, but more specifically, the older women get, the older people get in general, the more money they potentially earn. Because as you start off in your career, you earn less, but as you gain more experience throughout life, you begin to um, make more money, whether it's in business or you're working in a company or whatever. you tend to make more money as you get older. So what's going on is that women think, oh, because I make a certain amount of money, I deserve a man on that same level that's making the same amount of money. When men don't value the same things that women value, but these women seem to think that men should value my education, my money, my wealth, or whatever I have, car, house, whatever. They think men should value that because that's typically what women value in men, and men don't look at it that way. So then what happens is women, the black women that are in these higher economic brackets, well, if he doesn't have the same education as me, I have a PhD, I have a master's. If he doesn't have that, then or if he doesn't make, if I'm making $100,000, if he makes $50,000, he's not on my level, so I'm not going to get with that guy. And then of course add in that he has to be attractive, he has to be, sexually proficient, and so forth and so on. And these are the things that he's talking about. And I don't he's going to go ahead and break down how Kevin Samuels kind of does his live stream, but I'm gonna jump ahead so we're not here for 3, 4, 5 hours uh taking a look at these issues. So let's go right here.
I have the ability to have a much more nuanced perspective on the situation, and I'll get into that. I'll do that. So let me see. I just gave y'all the first piece of bread. I'm gonna give y'all some lettuce, and tomatoes, give y'all a little bit of meat, and I'm gonna close off with the end piece of bread to give you a nice sandwich to feed on for the night. So I guess the lettuce and tomatoes here, because I kind of gave you where I think Kevin adds value. Now, please don't confuse me pointing out the fact that I think that he identified an issue in our community that is a real issue. And for those of you who are just joining, I'll repeat what that issue is. You have a situation where when you look at the dating pool, right, the black women and black men who are in free agency, I'm not in free agency, um, I've been trying to convince my wife to help, can we build a team, but she not necessarily with that right now. But let me stay on track. Take some tea before I undo myself.
So the pairing issue is what he's talking about. Let him
Damn,
keep
this is
going.
good. My wife just gave me some organic ginger and turmeric herbal tea. I think she put some honey in it. It's delicious. Uh, so, like I was saying, he identified a very real problem in that when you look at the available pool of black women and black men who are eligible to enter into union, of which a family would come from, this half of the equation does not consider this half of the equation to be worth their time. They're basically saying that if all that is available on the market, right? If all that is available on the market is electricians or plumbers or store managers or just everyday regular salt of the earth type dudes, you're like, nah, we don't want them dudes. Them dudes need to, go kick rocks. This is the argument that they are making. And Kevin Samuels, coming from Oklahoma, being born and raised around those type of dudes, he's like, where do you get the audacity to write off your mate in that manner? And he's saying no other women are doing that, and the way that he's seeing some of the sisters do it. No other group of women, like, so I work in corporate America, right? So there are white women who work around me. Lots of them are married. Matter of fact, I don't know none of them that are my age range that are not. Not all their husbands work in corporate America. A lot of their husbands are day laborers, but to see, they give things different names. It's like, they're not going to say he's a day laborer or he's a general contractor. They dress it up a little bit, but their husbands don't be. They be painters. They be just regular people. So you understand why so many white people voted for Trump, because they looking at their husbands like, yeah, like shit is kind of bad out here for white men. You know what I mean? So, but on our side of the equation, some of the sisters are like, listen, you'll have a sister who's like, a manager at Ross's. Is that how you say it? Is that the store? Is Ross like Ross department store? Let's say Macy's. You have a sister, she's the store manager at Macy's, and she's like, the dude who's the electrician is beneath me. I need the guy who can earn that 400,000 and can take care of 3 kids and me, and I don't want to work. If I get with that guy, I'm going to have to work until retirement, and I don't want that. So the fact that he called that out again, for me, that adds value. Now,
Okay.
here's the limitation.
Okay. All right. And he's going to get into the limitations, which is fine because I'm gonna break down some of his talking points about the limitations, which is fine. Everybody has limitations, right? And um, but I just wanted to establish that Omowale Africa here back in May felt that Kevin Samuels adds value. He added value, and that he identified a real problem in the black community. And Omowale, being a Pan Africanist, stated that we have to build families. That's the only way we're going to build the black community. It's that's the cornerstone of the black community is the black family. You can't have a black family without black men and black women getting married, producing black children or African children. I'm saying black. I'm sorry. See, this is why our mindsets are similar, not exact. He says African. I'm sorry. I'm saying black, but nonetheless, African families, African children, so forth. Right. And okay, that I can agree with that. Right. I just want to establish that he states that Kevin Samuels added value, and he identified a real problem in the community. And I want to jump to something else here real quick, and then we're going to go to something else. So this next point here, right here, I think it's so
He
early.
won't acknowledge the challenges that are very real within the black male population and the work that needs to be done.
And see, he
Now,
did
when
that
he
for 3
first
years.
started his show,
Yeah.
when he had less than 3,000 followers, his audience was black men. And he would allow them to call up and things like that. But now that he started talking to black women and his audience became black women, and that blew him up to damn near 1 million followers, he's in a situation where he doesn't really allow lots of black men to call in, because the black men would undo some of the good work that he's doing on their behalf. If he's creating spin and PR for black men, and then you have a black man call in and he proves everything that the women are saying, then it's going to create a situation where it's like I'm trying to look out for you, and you calling up here and basically proving the woman right.
And I'm playing this part because I want to talk about the PR problem that Omowale is going to have in one of these videos, because he's doing spin and PR for his ideology and his concerns and his point of view, but he's going to have a PR problem, and I'm going to bring it up. So I wanted you to hear that, talking about Kevin Samuels don't allow men to call up, even though this what he says doesn't hold water here, and I'm going to start to critique here. That doesn't hold water because it isn't like he deleted those years of videos where he talked to black men. So if anybody wanted to see the state of where black men are at or were at in during those times, and I'm sure it's still the same, or to some regard, black men have we have actually in it gotten better in the past 30 years, but change takes time. Maybe 3 years ain't enough time to see a significant change. then again, maybe I'm wrong because maybe it's been less than a year, and or maybe 3 years, maybe it's about that 3 year time period to where black men are not worried about being shamed. You can call black men misogynistic, you can call them whatever, and they're just not going to be shamed online like it's a big thing in the black community to shame black men. It was primarily black women, did this thing, and black men take it on, and even to where black men will shame each other to try to get them to change their behavior. And now I see that it's a big change of to where, hey, you can't shame me. Shaming tactics do not work in 2021. It's a new day for that. So that change has happened relatively quick to where, um, I guess about the Me Too, Donald Trump era, to where where I started seeing it, to where it's like, okay, you can say whatever you want to say, you could call me whatever, but it doesn't phase me. So, but Omowale's going to have a PR problem. Let me keep going. Here's another one other point I wanted to say, and
So the reason why I say by him ignoring our cultural and political context, and by him not wanting to be honest with black men in the way that he's honest with black women. And I saw the clip of him talking to the fat guy and giving him a harsh, dose of truth. I wasn't really comfortable with him asking another man his penis size, but I'm not here to speculate about anybody's sexuality. That's not where I'm at. But so if anybody wants to rebut and say, well, hey, he's hard on black men too, like, okay, I get the point that you're trying to make.
okay, two things about that. I wanted to make sure you understood that what he said. He's not here to speculate on anyone's sexuality, right? I wanted to make sure you caught that. He's not here to speculate on anyone's sexuality. And then the other thing, which was weird for a researcher, I thought that was real bad. He said he only saw the clip of him talking to black men, and I myself have personally watched at least 10 of those videos, the long form from his monologue through the calls, at least 10, just to get an idea so I can judge fairly, because you can't watch clips and you can't watch one video and think you know exactly what someone's shtick is going to be. But I felt like 10 was fair to judge fairly on what Kevin Samuels or how he treated black men versus the videos that you see of him with black women. And I'm surprised that Omowale only stated that, well, I watched the clip. So he's, as a professor and a guy who's very, very intelligent, to not have done more research to speak intelligently about how he deals with black men. I thought that was funny. But understand again, matter of fact, let me just back this up real quick and let me let you hear this again.
Our cultural and political context, and by him not wanting to be honest with black men in the way that he's honest with black women. And I saw the clip of him talking to the fat guy and giving him a harsh, dose of truth. I wasn't really comfortable with him asking another man his penis size, but I'm not here to speculate about anybody's sexuality. That's not where I'm.
Okay, just wanted to make sure you heard that again. He's not here to speculate about anyone's sexuality, right? He wasn't comfortable. And then he talked about the political context and so forth. That isn't for everybody to do, right? Omowale, that's one of your specialties. That's why we have a community. If everybody had the same exact thought pattern, same exact, we thought all the same, we'd all be robots. We wouldn't have a community. The community is made up of people having different thought processes and so forth. So he identified a problem that you apparently didn't identify. Now, is he supposed to do everything? So he doesn't talk about, he identified the problem, the pairing problem, as you stated. He adds value there. So then someone else can add value in another way. In particular, like you can add the context of how we got where we are. But I don't think that that's your concern in terms of that's that's not what you are here to do. And we're going to see here in just a second. And just like I said in another video about a brother who has issues with Kevin Samuels, is that you brothers are the ones. If you don't like what he's saying, you guys are the ones who actually created the brother. You gave him space, and let me share this with you here. And let me share this with you here. So I want to share this with you. And over in the live stream, this is no wrong one. I'm sorry. Hold on. Struggle streaming again. Hold on. Let me see here. It's the wrong one. Let's see here. Let me get to this one. Yep, here it is right here. All right. So I want you to see this. It is a comment in the chat here. It's a comment in the chat here. I'm gonna see if I can highlight this. This brother here, Camgiverse. I don't know. Camgiverse or whatever it is. This is it right here. He said Kevin did what most African centered men were too weak to do. That's why he is so popular. And this is what I said about any of these guys, actually, all of the guys on the thumbnail, like, with the exception of, well, he was, I don't know who had been, obviously Kevin is older than Derek Jackson, um, and Omowale. But if he's in that African center community or whatever, why didn't any of these guys identify this problem beforehand? And then when Kevin Samuels identifies the problem and is dealing with the problem in a way that he understands and knows how to deal with the problem, then you are upset. So you are upset with him and how he does it, and then he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. He's not supposed to do everything and be everything for everybody, right? He identified the problem that you didn't identify. Now that he's identified the problem, then instead of saying, "Oh, well, I don't like him, how he does this, that," then you solve the problem. And this is where I think um, the brother has a credibility issue, Omowale, because it's been 5 months, and as we're going to see, instead of trying solving the problem that he states is a real problem, and where he thinks that Kevin Samuels adds value, instead of working to solve that problem, he's doing something else. And let's get to it. Let's get to some of the other videos. And just let me share this real quick as well, because this was from a live stream of Omowale, and I just want to state that not
Families,
just
I'm gonna pitch.
it's not just this is a panel discussion that he had. It's not just non-African centered women that have that understand these issues. Excuse me, that understand these issues, but it is also African centered women. And let's hear from some of the women on the panel.
What we're gonna do with this question, family, is I'm gonna pitch it to the sisters first. And hold on 1 second. I'm over here messing up. What I just do? 1 second. Let me fix this. All right, there we go. So this is the final question tonight, family. This question deals with Black women and accountability. Now there is much ado right now and a lot of conversation that is happening pertaining to what many people are saying that over the past 40 or 50 years that black women have gone uncritiqued and black men have been silenced when it has come to their critiques of what's happening with black women. The argument has been made that black men are being have been over critiqued, but there has been no balancing of the scales, and we finally arrived in a moment where There's conversations being had around bad behavior on both sides of the board. And many are asking the question, are black women finally being having their, I guess, immunity, is that the word, like diplomatic immunity? Are they finally having their immunity suspended, right? So I wanted to throw that question to the panel, and I wanted to throw it to the sisters first. What are we thinking about this moment? Like, is this a moment where black women are holding themselves and each other accountable, and black women are open to hearing critiques from black men?
Okay, before they get started, so let me say this. So, like the comment stated, that Kevin did what most African-centered men are afraid to do, and I hear this so much, and in terms of these men, a lot of these brothers on the you call it black tip or African centered, conscious, whatever term you want to throw out there. Even the Muslim men do this, and I have a theory that I actually have to. I'm actually need to just go ahead and put the thoughts down in video format and flesh out the whole argument of why Generation X, and to a certain extent Generation Y, why they have failed the millennials, and why the community is in the position that they are in. One of the reasons is for black men refusing to critique, hold accountable, whatever word you want to say, address women, address the other half of, because it's always a thing of men address men, women address women, and that has not worked, and they're still on this. Even the brother Omowale is still on that thing of, well, the women should be addressing women. Matter of fact, all the brothers on the panel except for the brother Nazaire. I, I need to collab with that brother because our mindsets are very similar, and from what I can see, what I've seen of him answering certain questions in regards to these. But these sisters, shout out to them. They were very honest, and this was part of the PR problem with what I was saying with Omowale. There's going to be more, but I don't think they were supposed to answer this way. They have more heart than some of the brothers on the panel, and this is not no shots at the brothers, but the brothers are going to flip a question about black women being held accountable, and they're going to flip it and say, well, black men are not being held accountable, which is weird. I'm like, you can't even ask a question. This is what black women typically do when men are saying, well, black women are doing this, and then it's inevitable there's going to be a black woman somewhere that's going to say, well, what about the men? Men do it too. Men, what? I'm just like, the whataboutisms, and these brothers did it. And I don't understand. Well, I do understand because, like I said, I do have a theory about that. To where the woman the woman is got. I just got to put this down. Let me not digress too far. I'm gonna do that video to really explain why I think we are in the situation that we're in, and why black women have gone for we've had to hear for 40 years about how to we need to get our stuff together, and black men are slowly doing it. I mean, we've made some strides. you know the prison rates are down, incarceration rates are down for black men, college rates and stuff are up. There's still some problems. We still have a lot of problems. We aren't over the hump yet, but we're doing a lot better than we did in the 90s. But let me go ahead and let these sisters go ahead and speak.
And my perspective is this: I'm trying to listen to everybody. I'm not trying to silence anyone, because I was having a conversation with my brother, and he made a really good point to me. I told him that my focus is on the men, my focus is on manhood, because I argue that that's the root and everything else is the fruit. I argue that if you focus on dealing with the manhood situation and creating the institutions that emanate from true manhood, then everything else will get back in order.
I can agree with that to a certain extent, but that's false. Part of it is false. Yes, Deal with manhood. We gotta fix black manhood. We have, you know, yes, agreed. But just because if you fix manhood, everything is gonna fall back in order. He just identified a problem that he said that Kevin Samuels identified. That's a real pain point. Women are not just going to fall in line if black men fall in line, because like we're saying, we're relatively doing that. But you just stated that a sister could be working at Ross or Macy's. She's the store manager of Ross or Macy's, and she's going to look the other way. She's not going she doesn't she has no respect for a brother who is a electrician who literally probably makes more money than she does, but because he's an electrician or a plumber, she does not respect him. So how's everything going to fall back in line? No. This is that wishful thinking. I mean, and this is youth. I think this is a little naivety, but you know, that's wishful thinking that, oh, you just fix the men and the women will fall in line. No. When you got brothers out here who are not criminals, who are uh, hardworking brothers, they're blue collar brothers, but then sisters who are on their same level don't respect them enough to even uh, look at them as potential mates. How are they going to fall in line? That doesn't make any sense, Omowale. That does not make any sense. That they're just going to fall in line if you fix the brothers, when we know that right now they don't respect the brothers who are. Every brother ain't a criminal. Every brother ain't a rapper. Every brother is not out here practicing thug and hood culture, right? So if they don't respect these brothers who are just hardworking brothers, average brothers, he has to be above average in order for them. And even then, they don't have to even have respect, because you know he ain't on my level. We haven't heard men saying that she ain't on my level. It's always that comes from women. He ain't on my level. So how are they gonna just fall in line to men that they don't respect? That doesn't even make any sense. That's wishful thinking. But that's to not critique or criticize women because of their ideology. And like I said, I'm going to do that in the video. But
Well,
let's
my
see if we
brother
can get the
said to me, he
sisters to go.
said, so let me ask you,
Let me skip. I want to
you
hear the
get the,
sisters,
and the,
because I'll keep breaking down his argument. Just let me let the sisters talk.
Love it.
Okay, here goes
oh,
first sister. Who's it? Night Neat
all
Neath?
right. So I'm,
Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead. I think it is the new age of Black women accountability, and I love it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I remember watching an episode of The Game, and do y'all remember Tasha Mack with Tasha Mack Management? Okay,
yeah, I'm ashamed to say that I know what you're talking about, but go ahead.
don't act like y'all always been enlightened. Tasha Mack Management, she used to always be known for like this Spitfire. Well, she started working with a bunch of white guys, Rick Fox at another agency. And I remember one episode where she was always making these racial jokes or being a little bit overly obnoxious. And the contractor, the agent who ended up taking Malik from her, ended up saying, man, it must be great to be a Black woman, to say anything you want and have no consequence. And I remember that line because to a degree, I agreed with it. Like, I walk around and based on my experiences, I can't speak for anybody else, but based on my experiences, when it comes down to different social interactions, work environments, the women that I'm having the most issues with are women that's looking like, this, or who might just have an edge of extra, I'm not going to say attitude because I know what it is. I know what that frustration is, who just come with an extra bit of character, extra spread of character. And I just think within these manosphere groups, these alpha male groups and beta male groups, and what is a feminine woman, these masculine groups, it has been more of a discussion on, are Black women now ready to be held accountable? Remember earlier this year in True Kitchen out in Dallas, the Black women kept dancing on the tables. And the owner had to, let them know and had to start cursing. And then they got upset about that. Or, being told to dress a certain type of way or not show as much cleavage. We get upset about that. I mean, and I'm a Black woman. I work with us. I am us. So we go to work and we tell our boss what we're not going to do. We get in a relationship with a Black man and tell him what we're not going to do too. So I think it's good. I think it's good accountability. It's new. I feel like it's very new, but this is one of the things about social media. Like we were talking about it earlier. It can be a dark place, but social media is also a good place that people find enlightenment and people find that right video to get them together.
Okay, so she said a lot, made good points. And look, so Omowale is saying you get the black men together and they'll fall in line. They didn't fall in line at True Kitchen, and I'm glad the sister brought that up. The brother spent $1 million in the place to get the place a nice place for black people to come, have a nice atmosphere. And I don't want to hear this foolishness of they were making excuses for grown women who have, uh, can make their mind up to whether they want to do or not do something. So what if he was playing some kind of music? That don't mean everywhere you go you don't have to. If music is playing, that you have to get up there and start twerking somewhere. That's silliness. Just to make an excuse like that. That to say, hey, well, he shouldn't have been playing music. Like you don't have no control over your body. But the sister's saying what these brothers are not going to say. And again, this is just in some brothers are just they, you know, women can lead them. Is This is the way I'll put it.
I appreciate you, Goddess Neith.
I'm gonna jump in here too. So I'm thinking about the end of the question, right? Are we ready to have that convo? So I think Black women have always been ready to have a conversation. They just have been having the conversation with the wrong people. I feel like so often we're ready to have conversations with people outside of our community, women of color, right? These groups that will talk and we'll talk and we'll talk, but we won't actually talk to our Black men. And I never really understood why we thought we could solve a problem outside of our community. Didn't make sense to
Good point.
me. And I think we do need to have these conversations. I think we are in a powerful movement and a powerful moment right now. And we need to, as Black women, encourage Black women to be able to have conversations with Black men and to be open to having those conversations, as well as being critical of any ideology that would have us think that we can't have a conversation with our men. For example, feminism. And like Sister Lavina, you were talking about white women earlier, and really pinpointing what the problem is and telling them and letting them know that, we don't want this anymore. We're going to go back to what we've always done. And that's working in our communities and our Black communities and healing that way internally.
Well, I really appreciate you weighing in right there, Professor Toy. But you raised a really good point about um who the sisters talk to, right? It's not talking to the brothers about what the issues are. It's going outside of the community. And I saw a tweet earlier that is perfect to share because it got shared in a group chat amongst men, but I found it hilarious when I saw it. So I'm gonna show you all the tweet really quick. And this is what it says here. So this tweet was shared by Brianna Joy Gray. She says, "There's so much I have to scream for before I actually go on a date with you. Like, where were you on January the 6th? I.e., dating as a leftist with a hilarious all left lady panel on the new Bad Faith Pod, right? So you see who's on there. This is like a woman of color panel. But the brothers got a good laugh out of that because, hold on, let me stop sharing here. We got a good laugh because it's like if you have to ask your mate where were you on January the 6th, and it's clear that this is a group of sisters who's talking about like dating white men because there wasn't no brothers beaten down unless you was the brother who was like working, you were like a police or something like that. But I just found that funny. Yo, V, go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, so he does make a good point there about that tweet. I found that funny. I think I saw that tweet live that day or what have you, and it was just kind of like that wasn't us, and we know who she's dating, so he's right there. But Yeah, I don't know. There has to be something done about the brothers and sisters who date outside their race, and those, and especially those who degrade their counterparts. So if it's a black woman and she's dating white men and she degrades black men, if it's black men who dates white women or other women and he degrades black women, we have to do. They have to come up with a strategy for those type of people. I don't, and I'm not saying anything violent to harm anybody or anything like that, but there. I mean, those people are dangerous. It has to be some type of solution for those people, and I'm not sure what, but let's keep going here.
Accountability. Are we ready for that convo?
Y'all, I'm trying to, like, when we talk about being in the hood and trauma in our community, like, I'm sorry, I've been in and out just now because, like, you have people having mental health issues right now. So even me having to go up and down, like, so I can block it out and unmute myself is like, yeah. I need a mental health day tomorrow just to get to that. But so many people, I will say this, to be honest, a lot of sisters, they like me, but then when they hear my stance on accountability, they don't really want to rock with me. So I feel just like the sisters is like, it's time for us to be accountable. It's time for us to be honest. It's time for us to stop playing these games and thinking that we can do whatever we want, when we want, how we want. That's not how it works. Being communal, you have to respect each other. You have to work together. You have to say, okay, you know what? I was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I'm not wrong with what I said, but how I said it could be problematic. Like, these are all things that we feel like, and that's what I really, when I hear the word humble, I think it's kind of triggering for me now, because I know that we are using it in a way where it's like, okay, I'm going to say that you're telling me to be humble because I want to say whatever I want to say, when I want to say it, how I want to say it. And that's my biggest issue with that. But us, I feel like we have not been held accountable. I think we've been bullied in some ways. I will say that. In the past, if you go all the way back, I think we have been bullied, but I don't think that we've been held accountable. So some of the women that felt like, well, we've been oppressed and we've been this and that, it's like, yeah, you have, but so have men. The men for a long time, they've taken a lot of abuse, verbal abuse. And we've been like, okay, well,
Hmm.
man up, get over it. I can say whatever to you. And then when you have the brothers now at the tables, I guess have kind of turned when they like, well, you got to take this. You got to woman up. You got to hear our critiques about you. We like, we don't got to hear nothing. Who you talking to? It's a problem. It's a serious problem. And I think that it starts with, and as the sister said, it starts with us being accountable first and realizing, like, wait a minute, am I this person at times? Like, am I being problematic? Am I fighting with my man when it's unnecessary? Like, am I just being disagreeable? And I think once we do that, then we could tap our sister on the shoulder and say, hey, like, what's wrong? What's the problem? Like, why are you like, yo, you don't, there's certain stuff you just don't say to people, certain stuff you don't say to your husband or to your boyfriend, your partner, whoever. Like, you just don't say that. And we're not holding our friends, our family members accountable. That's really why we in a situation, because we think that they're exempt as well. So I think this is a good time. It's like some people are like, no, no, no. We rising and it's our time and we gonna do what we want. And then some of us, like the sisters here, and I wish that I had more sisters like y'all around to build with and to work with. It's very challenging to find sisters that are like, we want to keep going and we gonna hold ourselves accountable. I wish that we had more of that around. I wish that I could build with more sisters. It seemed like we kind of spread out and is a small minority. I think everybody always says the silent minority, right? Um, we feel how we feel and we want to do better. But the media and the white liberal women got their hooks on our sisters. And we got to figure out how to eliminate them completely. Ain't no like push you to the side like elimination. So yeah, I hope I answered the question. I know I
You,
kind of went on a
you did,
tangent. My people
and
kind of took me off here in the
it's
community.
all good. I'm gonna have to let Brother Nazir go because he looks like he can't wait. He couldn't wait for this question.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there. I wanted the sisters to speak because I wanted these are sisters that Omowale has on the panel, so I would imagine that they are African centered. They have African centered mindset. So I wanted them to speak, and they are echoing what we just saw recently. April Mason echo, especially the sister Neith Knight. I'll just say Sister Knight, um, especially what she said. So now these brothers, they see, and this is where this is pretty much like I was saying with the last thing where they were talking about black culture, and they weren't being honest. They weren't being 100% honest. If these brothers are 100% honest about what they keep saying is black women check black women hold black women accountable, women hold women accountable, all this silliness. They know that they know that there are a certain subset of black women who will buck up on a brother. What do you think they're going to do if a sister says something to them? There was a sister on, I forgot which show, I saw it somewhere, that she stated that she was like, "Man, I'm afraid. I'm not talking to one of these sisters out here. I'm afraid I'm gonna get into a fight because if I say something to her and she doesn't like it, there's sisters that will swing on dudes, and they think that just random sisters need to go up and start checking other sisters or checking sisters around them. No, that don't even make sense." All right, let me get this next clip going here. So we've established now that Kevin Samuels add value. Omowale stated he adds value. He's identified a pain point in the black community. We have a pairing issue. We have a pairing crisis, and we had three African-centered women state that women need to start being held accountable. It's our turn. So they didn't seem to have a problem with the black manosphere or whatever, right? They didn't say that specifically, but in a roundabout way, hey, there is some issues that we have to correct. They kind of stated, we need to hold women accountable. But even the one sister was saying, Sister Knight, that they're gonna buck up on me, you know.
Going.
So why would she go and state that? Okay, so that question came from a going off topic question number 6 on Omowale's channel, right? All right. Now I want to get to another video that he did on October 10th. So fast forward. Now we just came up from May. I'm going in chronological order here. Um, so that was the first video. What Dr. Umar got wrong about Kevin Samuels. That was like in May. This question 6 was like September, whatever. And this is now October 4th. So on October 4th, this is Omowale After Dark. And he did a segment, and I want to jump to, so this is 5 months later. Now Omowale understands that the 5 months, if he didn't know before, he knows now. It's been 5 months. And I want to jump to a sister, Katie J. is This is Sister Katie J right here. She has a question for Brother Omowale, and let's see how he responds to the how. Let's see how he answers. Okay. All right. So here we go.
So when they can see it and have someone to really kind of deconstruct the message in that, again, on point.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
because you talked about pairing.
Yep.
If you were a part of a community that was looking to develop arranged marriages, would you be, let me just ask the question like this, would you be open to arranged marriages? And let me just say, full disclosure, I'm a product of an arranged
Wait a
marriage.
minute.
My,
Wait a
my
minute.
mom and my pop
Hold
been
on. I
together.
think I might have missed the question. Hold on.
I do, but I don't think many people engage with it. And to be honest with you, I'm primarily on Twitter, and it's kind of a anon.
Okay, you guys forgive me. I don't typically watch videos to respond to them. I just watch videos that things like this. With the videos that I do watch, I watch to learn and just watch to enjoy or what have you. Even if I take notes about a book or something mentioned that I want to look up later, that's one thing. But I don't typically do. Oh, well, I'm gonna respond to this. But this was a certain different situation, and I watched this weeks ago, so I can't remember exactly where the what you call it is. So forgive me. Let me try to find it here. I think this is. Let me see. Let's go right about maybe here. Let's try here. Okay.
Do you share the content from this channel? If so, what is the feedback you
This
get? That's
isn't
the
the
question.
question,
That's
but
coming from our
let
producer.
me keep going. Let me just let it play for
I
a minute.
do, but I don't think many people engage with it. And to be honest with you, I'm primarily on Twitter, and it's kind of a anon Twitter.
Yep.
So I'm not really like meaningfully using Twitter, if that makes sense.
That's understood. Well, listen, I appreciate you for sharing it and engaging. But any other question that you might have? What about related to tonight's episode?
Unfortunately, I didn't catch everything from the beginning, but I did catch the end. Um, and the thing that stood out to me was, man, I gotta read more Francis Cress Wilson. That's her
Yes.
name.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta read more.
Hmm.
I have to read more, and then two, I would say what stands out really is the cowardly, pathetic. I have such a visceral reaction, and I think again, what's missing in the counter narrative is people who do exactly what you did, which is to line those clips up, line them up, because people think you're talking out of your ass when you say these fools are white supremacists, capitalists, hateful, cowards who don't like women. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, are you listening? Are you processing what they're saying? And I don't think many people are. So when they can see it and have someone to really kind of deconstruct the message in that, again, on point.
Okay, I gotta say this. Look at how the brother, look how Omowale is happy that the sister's saying what she's saying, right? The brother is, he's almost giddy. He has such a smile on his face, but that's gonna change in a second. But what I wanted to say about this, so in his the podcast that he does, it's very good podcast, very good information in terms of the history of where some of these ideologies come from. I will definitely say that. And I guess he was doing a four-part series on what he calls the souls of black people. And he's talking about Thomas Sowell, Sowell, Thomas Sowell. So the souls of black people. And as soon as I saw this, I'm like, okay, I already know where he's going, and I totally 100% agree because I've always felt that way. Any black person who quotes Thomas Sowell is a coon, and any white person who quotes Thomas Sowell, I suspect that they are a white supremacist. But she's going off on the I guess Black Manosphere and some of because he's relating it to Kevin Samuels, and this is where um, so his podcast has been basically around manhood and in particular using the black men in the Black Manosphere as teaching tools to show how Eurocentric their mindset is, and um, how they don't really have a form of manhood, so forth. So that's kind of what she's talking about. I invite you guys to go listen to the podcast, subscribe to the channel, listen to the podcast. Like I said, it's excellent information, and then make your own decision of where you stand on the issue, whether or not you're going to continue to rock with people in the manosphere or not. That's up to you. And my thing is, and I was remiss to not say this at the beginning, this is not in defense of Kevin Samuels. This is not an attack on Brother Omowale. I want to just make, I'm agnostic to what to Kevin Samuels in terms of he did identify a pain point I don't have an answer for. So only time will tell if he's going to be effective in what he's doing or if it's going to be a negative. I do not know, but you know, I'm Muslim, so my children are they're already being prepped to be married. I mean, they've been prepped that way that hey, you don't date, there's no girlfriend, boyfriend, and as soon as you start getting yourselves together, as soon as you hit the age, we're going to start looking for you a spouse, so forth and so on. So they are being prepped that way. So this wasn't in my point of view, you know. So he's identified a pain point I don't have an answer for, but we're about to see that Omowale doesn't either. And we're going to see that it's going to be painfully clear in here just a second.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you talked about pairing.
Yep.
If you were a part of a community
Okay, wait
that
a minute. Okay, so hold up. I gotta go back. So apparently I missed the question. She asked him about getting hooked up. So I missed it. So let me back it up because like I said, I don't watch these episodes. I just remember she said it, and I thought at the time I was like, okay, wow, he didn't really have an answer, even though, you know, it was a point in the back of my mind. I never thought I wasn't gonna make a video on it, but then some things happened, and I was like, okay, I gotta make this video because some things are evidently clear now that you just let people talk long enough, they will expose themselves. But let me keep going.
Thoughts together.
Okay, let's see.
But the first time that I joined you in office hours, I asked you about what do we make of all this, the manosphere, and as it relates to people like me who want to date
Okay, there it
and
is. Yes.
partner with men. And I think you did a great job tonight really laying out what these men believe.
Okay, so that was the question. I wanted to make sure that's she asked. She wants to get paired up, right? She's looking to date, and she asked. Let me back it up and make sure I get it again.
hold on.
Let me get it again here.
These men believe.
Okay.
Thoughts together. But the first time that I joined you in office hours, I asked you about what do we make of all this, the manosphere, and as it relates to people like me who want to date and partner with men.
Okay. All right. So she's looking to date and partner with men. Okay. Now let me go back and because they talked about some other stuff, and then Omowale is going to answer this question. Well, not answer the question, but nonetheless, he's going to say some words. But
when they can see it,
he didn't answer the question. All right. So
I'm a product.
yeah, here we
on
go.
point.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you talked about pairing.
Yep.
If you were a part of a community that was looking to develop arranged marriages, would you be? Let me just ask the question like this: would you be open to arranged marriages? And let me just say, full disclosure, I'm a product of an arranged marriage. My mom and my pop been together for 44 years, and they the church back then used to be very different. You know what I mean? I'm not, in the church, but that's my roots in Black America, right? ADOS, as people like to say it. But that's my roots. But my mom and my dad have been married. I think is it 44? They've been married since 1977. So, an arranged marriage, so to speak.
Okay, I got to say this. Okay, I know Omowale said he keeps saying he's from Philly. He's from Philly, and he just stated he's ADOS or ADOS, Black American. But I got to know where that brother's family is from, because this brother has an accent in it, and it sounds Caribbean in terms of some of the words that he pronounces. When he pronounces things and thought, he says things and thought and rum, and that's not a Philly accent that I'm hearing. And in terms of when he speaks and he's talking about women, he says the woman are, when it should be the women are. And he's much too smart to make those type of grammatical errors. This has to be something that he's heard, and this is just how he came up speaking. And I say Caribbean because I can't remember where the brother was from, but he had a problem. I've noticed that he had a problem with the th sounds. He couldn't get the 30 or this or things. He would say things or 30 or thought. And brother Omowale does it. So I'm curious. I know he keeps saying he's black, but I just never heard anybody from Philly speak that way. And that sounds, these are errors, English speaking errors, non-speaking English speaking. Maybe his grandmother, I don't know, grandparents or something. Somebody close to him that he grew up around speaks that way, because he didn't learn to speak like that in school. To make those th sounds, to mix those up like that. And he's much too intelligent to not know that. So it's something that's he's been doing all his life to continue to still doing it. But nonetheless, I'm sorry, I'm digressing. But here we go. Here's the thing. So he's asking her about arranged marriages here. See, these women be African centered, but they're not going for these African customs. Watch this.
So let me just ask you that question. Are you pro arranged marriage? Would you be interested in an arranged marriage?
Watch what she says.
My question back to that is, how do you get to know your partner before?
See? So she typical of modern women, but he can't look outside of his point of view. You're gonna ask this woman about arranged marriages, bro. Come on, man. I mean, like, you said your parents did it, and you didn't even do it, apparently, because you said you're a product of arranged marriage, not that you and your wife are the product of arranged marriage. Like, your marriage is a product of it was an arranged marriage. You didn't say that. You said your parents were in arranged marriage. But now you're asking this sister, is she pro or against arranged marriage? Like, she said she want a date. Now watch her criteria for a man. Actually, let me back up so you can hear that again, because it's laughable. This is his answer, right? And I'm sorry, Kevin Samuels has a better answer for women who are saying, "Hey, what kind of man should I get?" And you could say it's Eurocentric, but it's a better answer than telling a sister, "Okay, get into arranged marriage." And the sister asked the first thing that all women are going to ask: how do I get to know him? Let me go back. This is hilarious.
You were a part of a community that was looking to develop arranged marriages. Would you be? Let me just ask a question like this: would you be open to arranged marriages?
Look at her face.
Let me just say, full disclosure, I'm a product of an arranged.
Look at her face. She already like, hell no.
Together for 44 years, and they the church back then used to be very different.
Go ahead and say it.
I mean, I'm not in the church, but that's my roots in Black America, right? ADOS, as people like to say it. But that's my roots. But my mom and my dad have been married. I think it's at 44. They've been married since 1977. So an arranged marriage, so to speak. So let me just ask you that question: are you pro arranged marriage? Would you be interested in an arranged marriage?
That's a no.
My question back to that is,
hell no.
How do you get to know your partner before saying yes? And do you have decision-making capability to say, man, hell no, not that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bring me another one, but not that one.
Yeah. So typically the way that arranged marriages work is they're a function of closed communities, right? And the assumption is that the people in the community share the same values, right? So it means that the man has been socialized to understand his role and responsibility as a man. He's been socialized to understand the importance of character and to also understand that he is incomplete as a man without his other half, right? And the assumption would be that the woman has been socialized along the same lines, right? They've both submitted to a certain set of values and ideas that are meant to allow the community to continue to grow, develop, and be healthy and regain our footing. So, assuming that the brother was not socialized with Eurocentric values or Christianity or this Western patriarchal stuff, assuming that he has the proper values, would you be open to it? And yes, of course, you are human, so you do have the right to say no, but would you be open to an arranged marriage?
That's a hell of a question, Omowale.
That's a no, Omowale. She just don't want to say it, but that's what that is, a no. That is not going to fly. And I actually forgot to play it in the clip when he was in the video he was talking about what Umar got wrong about Kevin Samuels when he stated that the majority of the women calling in to he stated that the majority of the women calling into Kevin Samuels' show are not Afrocentric. They're not African centered. They don't have an African centered mindset. So imagine Omawali having 1 million subscribers and women calling in every night to get advice on how to get a man, and he's leading off with arranged marriages. I mean, that's laughable to propose that to women who are have not, like as he was saying, been socialized that way. Like I was just stating that my children have been socialized that way. In terms of the Muslim community, most Muslim black Muslims that I know anyway. I'll put it that way. Muslims in general socialize their kids that way. That hey, there's no dating. We look for people who have families that have the same values and try to arrange a marriage between children like that. But that's not you have to have a strong set of values. So even though he was a product of the church, what he was quote unquote what he was saying, as if there's not an African church, but he said this Eurocentric values, not church or whatever. So I would bet that this sister is probably part of a church or something to that effect. But she now has to look for who. He doesn't have an answer. Let's keep going.
I think I need some time to think about it,
That's
honestly,
a
and
no.
it's only because um, I'm looking for someone who is also not just kind and
Okay, here comes the list. Here comes the list. Let me make sure you hear this. She's going to run the list down. We got to pay attention here. The list is going to run down of what she wants. No, no, no. This is almost, it's funny. This is Kevin Samuel's show in reverse because she's going to run down the list. He doesn't ask her anything of what she brings, how she's going to add value to a man. So even if there was some African centered brothers watching this, they only hear what she wants. They don't hear what they get. Because he said he didn't have a problem with Kevin Samuels getting men a better deal. He just didn't like them doing it at the expense of black women. So can't he do that in this situation? He could do exactly that and give an example of how Kevin Samuels should run this thing and it not do it at the expense of black women. But hold on, here we go.
that's a hell of a question, Omowale. I
That's
think
funny.
I need some time to think about it, honestly, and it's only because um, I'm looking for someone who is also not just kind and caring and compassionate, but also an intellectual match, and also someone that I deem attractive. If If those things are in place and you've got that the shared values and the shared socialization, then I maybe.
Look, even after running the list down, she said maybe. Even if he got all these things in line, it's still a maybe. He has to be her intellectual match. That basically means if she has a master's degree and he has no degree, that's not a match, not intellectually, even though he could be smarter than her, right? Some of the smartest people on the planet don't have degrees. You know what I mean? Like, and the degree system anyway, if we're going to college, that that can't get any more Eurocentric, right? But it's acceptable to some African centered people because, you know, because they got it, because they got it. So then, that's fine. But she said, even after running that list down, she ran a long list down. He has to be kind and caring. Sound like a woman at first, kind and caring. Not that you can't be that as a man, but the kind of caring and that she's referring to, what she's referring to, it would be how she displays it. You can listen to her and tell that he has to display kind and caring the same way that I do. My wife and I are both kind and caring to our children. We just do it different ways. You know what I mean? But men are not going to do it. She's looking for somebody to do it that way. He has to be her intellectual match. He has to have the values. He has to be. Yeah, he has to be attractive. And then maybe. Oh my! I mean, this is exactly what. And Omowale doesn't know how to deal with it. This is not his lane. And this is what I'm talking about. So he's doing a lot of videos and talking about the black dudes in the manosphere, but then he's showing real time that he doesn't have an answer. So if if Kevin Samuels disappeared today, and all those women are looking for someone else to help them solve these issues, he couldn't step in there and fill the void because he doesn't know. He doesn't have an answer either. And it's been 5 months that he could his thing to me, his thing should have been, and this isn't my thing, so and I'm not trying to tell anybody what kind of content to make, but how long are you going to beat the dead horse? And I'm gonna get to that dead horse in a little while. I just want to let's see what other part of answer that he has.
Man, that's
All
what
right.
I'm going with.
Okay. I don't know if I like.
His other answer is actually going to be worse than this one, but let's keep going.
I don't know if I like straddling the fence. I kind of like wanted a yes or no, and because like here's the thing.
See,
We are in a
here's the thing. He didn't say thing. Here's the thing. But I'm sorry, not to digress.
situation right now where individualism clearly does not work, especially where as a group of individuals we're being attacked by another group that has institutionalized their attack.
And that is true.
Right? So everything about this social milieu that we exist in is designed to pull us apart and to keep us at odds. So if we're going to counter that, I think that we are going to have to consider some different means. You know what I mean? I've slowed up on the polygamy conversation
Holy
because
crap.
I think that conversation has been.
Here we go. The dusty conversation. I laughed the first time I saw this, and I laughed this time. Now I'm seeing it again. This is the dustiest conversation that the brothers he's not in the conscious community. I don't want to lump him in that group, but these African centered brothers with this polygyny, and it's polygyny. He said polygamy, but it's polygyny. It's we don't have it may be from an African thing. It may be Africans did it, blah, 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 blah. We don't have a culture or history of doing it here in Black America. Not in a way that doesn't harm the women and children involved. Hell, even the men get harmed in some regards. So he's going to pose this to her, and this is hilarious. So his two answers are arranged marriages and polygyny. let's keep going.
Tainted by a lot of bad players and bad actors who are looking to kind of like live out a pimp fantasy. So I would never subject a woman to that type of reality for the notion of nation building. And I also think that polygamy requires land. You cannot live a polygamous lifestyle is not a lifestyle that is meant to be lived in like an urban terrain, right? You're not going to be like, driving your Tesla, to the mall and staying at your fenced property in the suburbs and having your 401k, like living like that's not what it is. I think that that's a lifestyle that is more aligned with living in a way that is in alignment with nature. And much of that revolves around being land centered or land focused. And it's very interesting. Booker T. Washington, in one of his essays.
Okay, all right. Before he goes on to about Booker T. Washington, but he's saying he wouldn't subject the sister to it, but he brought it up for a reason, and that's because it's one of his answers, and it's going to be a clear. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to that part. He's going to kind of double down. He's going to be talking to another sister, and he's going to say that sister was okay with polygyny. I'm gonna get to part of what the sister says. I don't know if I'm gonna get to all of it, but she she uh she she says she wants a sister wife, and then jokingly he says, "Oh, KDJ, you talking about KDJ? You want? Are you taking applications?" Like, so this was his answer. Those were his two answers, and this is gonna be it. Other than he's gonna tell, and I'm gonna say this part. You guys can go watch it. He's just gonna tell her basically to make sure she gets with a man that's African centered, has an African centered mindset, and that I forgot. It might have been Asad Shakur. He quoted saying that a revolutionary man should not pair with a non-revolutionary woman, and the same thing with a revolutionary woman. She shouldn't get with a reactionary man. I'm sorry, I almost misquoted him. So he's going to say that, and so that only decreases her pool even that much more. So black women. So let's look at the math, right? Black women outnumber black men in America. Um, about by 2 million. There's 2 million more black women than black men. So men are already in the minority. Then you add on with the brothers living the alternative lifestyle, right? The brothers incarcerated, the brothers who are already married. Then the biggest chunk, the brothers who don't fit the qualifications that she just said maybe to. She wants a brother that is attractive. If he's attractive to you, he's going to be attractive to other women. That means he's going to have a pick. So then what can you how can how what are you how are you competing with those other women that he's going to be able to pull from? Even the brothers that are African centered, because African centered mindset. So in that sphere, um in the chat, is actually in the chat of this video. I think it was some sisters were saying something about there's very few men. There's very few men in and I'll look for that in a second. There's very few African centered men to get with. So then that shrinks the pool even more. Now she has to fight for what? If let's just say there's one maybe let's say 1 out of 10 brothers in the black community that are actually African centered. I mean, meaning they say, "Hey, I'm Pan Africanist," and they practice what they preach. So there's, and I would guess is there's more women in that arena. That's why all them brothers keep talking about polygyny and everything every 5 seconds. But he's not going. Maybe he did offline, but it would have been a good. it would have been a good teaching moment if he could have. This is how Africans. This is how African centered it just should be, as opposed to, okay, now once you point it, like you can't be lending honor with this thing, meaning it's just okay. Let me expose Umar with everything that he does and says. Let me expose him. Let me expose him. Okay, you've done a good job of pointing out the mindsets or where some of the things that Kevin Samuels and some of the other brothers in the manosphere that they where this stuff comes from, the historical context. Okay, so once you get to the end of that, then what? Right? Then what? Are you gonna keep? You're gonna rehash it all over again? Everything they say and do. You're gonna now you got to react to everything they say and do, which is kind of what he's doing, really. To be honest with you, everything that they're saying and doing right now, he's reacting to. So he's saying he's talking about the revolutionary man and the reactionary man. He's reacting right now. And this is what made me, this is what prompted me to do this. And like I said, it's not to defend Kevin Samuel right now. And I'll tell you my thoughts on Kevin at the end of this thing. But I'll just say this. Right now, he's untouchable. Kevin Samuels, he good or bad, he's gonna run his course. Whether it's another year, 2 years, 5 years, I don't know how long it's gonna be, but he's gonna have to run his course. Omowale, nothing that Omowale is gonna say or anyone else is going to say is going to knock him off the pedestal where he is, especially not some of the old tired tropes that everyone uses. It's it's weak and unoriginal. Let me keep going. Let me jump to the other sister. This is where Omowale, when he was saying about Kevin Samuels that he's putting in good PR work, and then the brothers come and undo all the good PR work that he's doing on their behalf. This happens to him as well, right here uh in this next, where is it? She's gonna start. Where is she talking? Wait a minute. Hold on. I think I might have missed it. Let me back up. That's where she starts talking, looks like. All right. So let's
Sister
go here.
AY speak.
Sister Awa.
So you had asked for someone to call in, um, I guess regarding like Kevin Samuels, and while I wouldn't call myself a fan of his, I kind of understand a lot of, well, I would say maybe 70% of.
Okay, hold on. I gotta stop. You saw you saw how the body language changed on Omowale. He didn't expect that. Not from Sister Awa, who's an African Senate sister. All right. Let me go back. I just wanted to point out. Watch his. You saw how kind of giddy he was when Sister Katie J was talking. But now watch as Sister Awa is talking. Watch his body language and watch his mannerisms.
How are you guys?
Doing well, doing well. I'm this is the free forum at this point, so y'all can ask me
Yeah.
any questions. Y'all can just engage in conversation and until I kick y'all off and I dip out. But y'all are here now, so this is, we can have conversations. So what's good?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Hold on, brother Richard, sister AY speaking. We gotta have
Sorry.
some decorum. So let me mute y'all and let Sister AY speak.
So you had asked for someone to call in, I guess regarding like Kevin Samuels, and while I wouldn't call myself a fan of his, I kind of understand a lot of, well, I would say maybe 70% of what he like talks about. I think he kind of adds some value. But I'm also someone who is able to like take the good from someone and like leave the rest. So like, like I'm not like, I don't need to be in a vacuum. Like I listen to, like I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I can listen to Republicans, I can listen to Democrats. I'm more of like far left Green Party type, like I voted for Jill Stein for the first time that I voted for president. So, and I'm also African, born in West Africa. So I have like a different perspective. So like, for example, as far as like the polygamous relationship goes, So both of my grandfathers had like 4 wives each, right? And like 20 plus kids, right? So to me, like having like, multiple wives or whatever, or being in a polyamory type of relationship, like that's not foreign to me. Even though it's not something that I'm in now, but although I would very much like a sister wife, someone who wants to do all of the domestic things that I don't want to do. So I'm just saying, I'm taking applications.
Was that was that
Um,
was that cough toward Mr. KDJ?
oh, I didn't cough.
Oh, I thought that was
What was it, me?
yeah. When you said like, I thought you were trying to like alert Sister
Oh,
Katie
no, no, no,
that
no. I'm
you know, she,
literally like,
she can
it's
send in her
my,
application.
oh, I mean, hey, I'm taking all applications, guys. Um, but so basically, like, so I don't see it as like a negative thing. I can definitely see it working. It definitely has to, like you said, like, as far as like owning land or having resources, like you can't have multiple wives if you can't like afford to support your wives, like especially living in a capitalist society, like it's just not realistic. But I'm gonna get off that and just go to somebody asked what part of Africa I'm from. I was born in Mauritania, which is uh, under Morocco, above Senegal. Half of my family's from Senegal, the other half's from Mauritania.
Okay, so so it did get in about where he said to with KDJ about the polygyny thing or what have you. So yeah, so he wasn't expecting this. She agrees with 70% of what Kevin Samuel says. She wouldn't call herself a fan, but she sees the good and the bad or whatever in what Kevin Samuels is saying. And let's see what she says about this here.
Like listened to a lot of his shows recently because of the pandemic. Being stuck at home and just like listening to stuff while working or whatever. I kind of see his point. It doesn't make sense to me, like as a woman, to be like perpetually single or be like willing to like never get married because you're looking for like an attractive man, right? So like you'll hear him say like the woman is supposed to be the pretty one, for example, or something, like, and I can see that, right? Like I don't think women should be judging men based off of their physical appearance, right?
Yeah.
Because like and like obviously I'm not really here to argue, people are gonna agree or disagree with whatever. But so, like I think that like and earlier in the show you had mentioned that basically he kind of like highlighted like a real issue that we have,
Yes.
just not like in the healthiest way. Like I would 100% agree with that assessment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like there is a real problem with like chronic singlehoodness in like the Black community, I would say, right? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense that only like a quarter of us would get married, because as someone who's been married for 11 years, like I can tell you like marriage is kind of lit. Like there's lots of benefits to being married, like a lot, So
Yeah.
it
I'm the same
doesn't
way.
hurt.
So let me stop here. So even though he doesn't like what she's saying, you can see his body language just written all over his face. He wouldn't even he doesn't even push back. Now he's going to agree again and basically state, yeah, he makes some valid points. And he's been now, I think this is episode, I don't know what episode he was on. This is probably episode 6. So he's been going hard in the paint on Kevin Samuels and Anton Daniels specifically, with the Black manosphere in general. He's been going hard on them for 6 episodes already. I think 6 episodes of the podcast. So that's about 6 or 7 weeks that he's kind of been going in on them. And now and it's going to be clear that he pulled her to the side after this, because he wasn't expecting this for you to come on, and he just, the one sister is saying that these guys hate women and this, that, and the third, and they African centered, and then you got this sister who's African. And this his resident, he called her the resident scholar or something to that effect, the intellectual, whatever he called her. And then she gets on here and then she flips it on him and states, "Hey, I agree with 70% of what he's saying, and he makes valid points." And now he's going to repeat this after all the. I mean, you guys have to. I can't do this. It's already 2 hours. We're in this thing, and I'm halfway through, but it, you'd have to go and see. This is what made me like, okay, but I'm like, okay, I still rock with him. You know, people, people are complex, so I'm like, whatever. But there's gonna be more that I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. There's an ulterior motive here, and so he's going to now state, oh yeah, Kevin, he makes good points. He makes valid points. After all this stuff that's going in on him, like I said, this is October 4th. If you go look at his, and maybe I'll do that before we end, just kind of look at how many episodes that he's been going in on Kevin Samuels and the Black Manosphere up until October 4th. And he's getting ready to say
Solid.
this here.
You
They
understand
are.
what I'm saying? Like not everything that he says.
Uh,
It's because there are points that he makes that are valid. You
They
understand what
are.
I'm saying? Like not everything that he says can be like wholesale dismissed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My
See, my thing is not everything. Every time he says it, it just sticks out to me. I'm sorry, but um, uh, he said everything can be dismissed wholesale, but based upon your podcast, is what you're saying, and some of the other things that you're gonna do. Like I said, I'm keep alluding to it because I want to go through this thing slow because I don't. I'm playing a lot of this, so no one can say, "Hey, I'm taking it out of context." Haven't chopped up the video. I'm playing probably more than I should to make the point, but I don't want people to say, "Hey, this out of context," like some people do. Some people will take a 4 second clip of something of a 30-second clip of a 4 hour talk or even a 10-15 minute conversation and then say, "Oh, that's the gist of the No, so I'm trying to play here and there, and I'm pointing. Of course, I'm pointing out things. That I'm making a point here, but you know, and it's only based on things that he said prior is what I'm pointing out to what he's saying now. Because, like I said, he got some good information, makes very valid points. I have no problem with it, but with some of the things that he said, but some of the things that he's saying that I'm pointing out, there's a problem with it. Kevin Samuels make valid points. I'm not dismissing them wholesale, but that's basically what you're doing in the podcast. I mean, if anybody has eyes, that's basically what you're trying to do. Because like when this woman says this here, when the sister Katie J says they hate women, you can't prove that, right? There's no way to prove that someone hates women, especially if you, well, I'm not gonna, you can't prove it one way or the other. It's just what you think. It's not provable. It's like what Neely Fuller says: when you accuse somebody of something, you have to have proof. You know what I mean? And they don't have proof in terms of to say, hey, they hate women. Now you may say, some of the things that Omowale says, well, women should be in a certain place. They feel that women should be in a certain place. Maybe they feel that women are above, men are above women. Maybe you could prove some of that, right? You could look at some of that, but then, like this sister Awa is saying, and I think this is her authentic, how she authentically feels, and I'll tell you why in a second. Let me keep going. It's I mean, I could play the whole thing and just break this and be here all night, but let me keep going. Where is it? What is that? Is that it right there? Okay, wait, where is it at? Where did that go? I wanted to point this out. Damn it, I lost it. Where did it go? Okay, I lost it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. All right, forget it. I lost it. I don't know where it's at. Yeah, that was that. It was. It was the clip or the note that came on the screen. I lost it.
Change up.
We're not
Now,
talking about. Hold on, brother. We're not talking about what he might be or what he might become. You said
The therapy aspect, like, because
Okay, yeah, okay. Let me just go to this because I lost that. What you call it on the screen?
nationalism is not inherently
I'm so,
revolutionary. And go ahead, go ahead, Sister
no,
Awa.
I'm sorry. I don't understand what's the problem with the therapy aspect, like, because
Nothing at all.
I think that's one of the most valuable things that he does. Like a lot of times when you hear him, and I'm saying this as someone who can relate to some of the women that call into the show and who've actually learned things about myself listening to these calls, like there's a lot of like broken people walking around like trying to enter relationships with other broken people. Like
Yes.
it's probably one of the main reasons why most Black people don't get married or stay married. Like that's the most valuable thing that he says, in my opinion,
yeah,
is
my
when
No, that,
problem with
you
Kevin
support,
Samuels.
hold
because
on,
that's
brother
real.
Richard.
Yeah,
Hold on,
she,
brother Richard. Hold on. No, nothing wrong at all with the therapy.
bro, she was asking me why I brought up the therapy.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I
Oh, yeah,
thought
okay.
all of us up here to talk. Now I understand you
Okay,
want to teach, bro.
I
You know,
hold on, brother. I assumed that she was asking me when she said, "What's the problem with the therapy?"
See,
Right?
No,
Because
I was
okay, I'm sorry. I had to point it out again. He said therapy, not therapy. But anyway, so the brother, she said one of the most valid points that he's made that Kevin Samuels does is to encourage people to get therapy. All right. So now I think I found it here.
not going to solve like our issues, and I would vehemently disagree with that. I think
there's
it's a
nothing wrong with
necessary step.
therapy. All right. You know, actually had therapy before. My issue with Kevin Samuels, he makes that like the end all be all. Therapy
I
alone is not going to solve all the complications that we have with our coach.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. Therapy alone, but once you get therapy, because you have to fix you have to deal with the trauma. But then once you deal with the trauma, then we have to build. So, yeah, the brother's right in one aspect, but yeah, there is a lot of trauma, and if it's not dealt with, then you definitely can't build, and then you're only going to pass that trauma on. So we have to actually deal with the trauma. And I'm not a therapist or anything, but it just makes sense. You have to deal with the trauma. Then once we deal with the trauma, then you have to start building. But here's the comment from Sister Katie J. And this I'm pointing this out for what's going to happen, and that I'm going to bring up in the next clip here. So Sister Katie J says Omowale has done a masterful job of laying out why Kevin Samuel's talking points are terrible, and this is why I see both sides to his rhetoric. He is harmful AF. Please self-reflect. That was a bit of a shot at Sister Awa, because she said I can see both sides. She said I can see both sides. And Katie J is like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You can see both sides because he's harmful. His rhetoric is harmful. Even though Omowale has said not all his points could be dismissed wholesale, but that's the picture that he's painting. That's why Katie J can get this. Even though she fits into, she's like one of those callers that calls in with Kevin Samuels, right? Because she says she wants a brother that's attractive. Now, if we looked at the sister on the thumbnail, she looks better than she did when she was live. But because if you saw when she was live, and this is no disrespect to the sister, but we just got to be honest. We got to have an honest conversation. You know, she appears to be a little overweight, but yet and still she was able to say, "Hey, I want an attractive man." Well, sister, you have to make yourself what that attractive man would also want, whether he's African centered or not. It doesn't matter. He's still a man. unless African centered men just, don't care what the woman they're gonna marry looks like and how she's shaped, then fine. And okay, then, but most men, hey, we want someone that's attractive and that's in shape and whatever. And like I said, the sister doesn't. If she works out, then okay, but she looks a little bit overweight. But Omowale's not going to tell her, hey, that would actually increase your chances of finding that attractive man. And if he does, then and he pulls her to the side, and okay, no power, more power. He does it offline. But what I was saying was he still should have uh he should have went through that as she wanted to be paired up. He should have. That's the real contrast. He keeps using this. He keeps using this talking point from Elijah Muhammad, that he got it from the Prophet Muhammad. He got it from the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, that where he says, where he quotes Elijah Muhammad as saying, "I'm holding up the dirty glass of water, and I'm holding up a clean glass of water, and let the people choose." Well, he got that from the Prophet Muhammad, and the two beverages were wine and milk. He was offered wine and milk, and he chose the milk over the wine. That came straight from him. Meaning, if there's a choice, you're gonna choose what's pure. The milk is pure, the wine isn't. And Omowale keeps saying that in terms of his podcast is laying out. It's laying out. It's clear that it'll be clear once he finishes the podcast that from what Kevin Samuels is offering to what he's offering, but they're not offering the same thing, so it's a bad analogy. Omowale is not offering what Kevin Samuels is offering in terms of, okay, telling women, okay, or getting a better deal for men, or get solving this pairing crisis. That's the issue that Omowale identified, that Kevin Samuels identified as a real issue. Yet Omowale isn't offering anything to solve that. So what are people going to choose? You saying, "Oh, he's not African centered. He's got European philosophy." Well, you stated in the what Umar got wrong about Kevin Samuels, that the majority of the people calling in are not African centered. So then why would they choose what you're offering, brother? Come on, man. You're too smart for this. If you the real thing that you have to offer is a counter. If and I don't know what it is, because I'm out of the dating market. I mean, I've been married for longer than you and Awa, whatever, right? Twice what you've been married. I think he said he's been married 9 years. I've been married 18. So I'm out of that. I did that, so it would have flown over my head for the rest of the time, what have you. I would have seen this issue, and then, like I said, my kids are being raised differently, so I wouldn't have seen it. So I don't have an answer, and I can be honest about that. But Omowale, it doesn't seem that you have an answer either. And after 5 months, you're only just saying, and like I said, it's good information, but you're still, if Kevin Samuels disappeared, those women that were calling into his show still don't have an answer, because you don't have one to give them. You should have been contrasting. If everything that he's saying is European centered and it doesn't work for us, Africans, whatever, then you should have had a parallel podcast. Okay, sisters calling up, and then you're showing them from an African centered perspective how to get paired up with men. Because the thing that you said earlier, that you just fix the men and the women will fall in line, that's not true. We know that's not true. When you said it yourself, that they will overlook a hardworking brother because he's an electrician or a plumber, but yet they're only a manager at Ross or Macy's. You're contradicting yourself. It doesn't even make sense that what you're saying does not work. Let me keep going here, man. I'm sorry. I'll get on a tangent, and because this stuff is I'm like, man, yeah. See, look, I mean, look at the sister, the full face, the arms a little thick there, and then if he tells her that to the side, then fine. But who's gonna tell her like, hey, you got some work to do if you want to get that type of man, and he's he's rare in the a man with all those qualities. Um, a man with all those qualities that you're looking for is rare, and he's gonna have his pick of the women. And why would he pick you? He won't say that to him because what does it say? Yeah, let's see. All right, where is it at? All right, think she's gonna say something else here. Let's see, maybe around here. I think she starts
Sister
talking.
AY, Sister AY, can you share specifically what Kevin Samuel's advice has
Okay,
helped you with? That's an
yeah, this
amazing
is
Yeah.
question.
So I can give one example. But wait, before I go, can I just clarify that, like, I don't want to be branded as like a Kevin Samuels fan. Okay.
see. Okay, I got to stop right here because this all of this points to what she's going to do in the next episode, right? And I don't want to be branded as a fan. Well, you came in using that word. You said, "Well, I'm not really a fan," but you can't. You know what I'm saying? Like now you're backing away from it because maybe people are saying some things in the chat. I'm going to take a look at the chat here. But don't back away from it now. Stand on your square. Stand on it. Don't. It's your life. If he added some benefit to your life and it made your marriage better, then stand on it. You can learn something from anywhere. It don't matter. See, and what's so weird is when it's black people when it's black people doing something. Well, he doesn't have an African centered mind, so it's coming from a place. It's not coming from a place of love. And then all these people went to a white university or the university system in itself, right? Yeah, and I'm talking about in the form of a baccalaureate, right? That word, I know it gets. Let me stay focused. I'm sorry, I didn't go down that tangent, but we know that system. We know this system is framed from. I know we had universities in Africa, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way it is presently today. It is not African centered, but yet you'll go there. She left an African country to come here and then complain about something being Eurocentric. Like it doesn't like some of this stuff is sometimes our Pan Africanist brothers and sisters and pro black conscious, whatever you want to call them, sometimes is laughable about some of the hypocrisy that they and leaps of logic that they will do in order to justify why they did something that is out of bounds. So Kevin Samuels is then go back and give up your degree. Don't use your degree to get no jobs because that's they teach a lot of Eurocentric stuff in these colleges. So don't use any degree that you have to get any type of anything. Don't use the European credentials because they credentialed you. Don't use any of that stuff. As if you can't take from someone who isn't doesn't have an African centered mind. She said earlier, I know how to take the good and take the bad, or eat the meat, spit out the bones. Right? Let's see exactly what she says. What advice did he give her that helped her in her marriage? That's the question.
Like, I think he's an interesting person. Like like I said, like, there's some good, there's some bad, but like, just don't brand me as a fan because I feel like you guys are gonna
Nah, I don't.
like
I
I'm
don't
ruining my
No,
own
they
reputation.
No, you
no, they're actually jumping on her because everybody's been hard on Kevin Samuels in the chat and on the panel except for her. So you already know, we already know how it goes on social media. Someone gets out of line, like what is that? What is the statement? You get out of line, you get whacked. Everybody knew the rules. That's how it. That's how it is. no matter which group you're in, if you get out of line, you get whacked. If you're pro-black and if you say something as controversial as, I don't know, what was some, okay, like this. If you're supposed to be pro-black and you think Kaepernick is an idiot, which I think he's an idiot, then, hey man, you're a coon. All right, well, whatever. I'm not phased by that. I don't believe Kaepernick. No, he doesn't. Well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and that's why he's quiet and he's totally ineffective. Whatever. I did it. Whatever. I'm gonna keep going. But the sisters need to stand on a square. It's obvious she's gonna get shamed and or bullied, and we're gonna see exactly the result of that.
You're
I don't
good.
see it as that.
I think it's because I'm a Sagittarius. Like we're just problematic people. So, we align with other problematic people. I don't know what to say.
You all good.
Okay. So one of the things that I would say that he helped me with, and my husband is not like, he's upset about this because it's something that he was trying to get me to do. And I just hearing him and like his harshness and his just straightforward, no bullshit, not trying to spare your feelings. Hearing it from him in that manner actually helped me, right? So as far as working out goes, so I'm a workaholic, right? I'm in my office, right?
Okay, let me stop. So just to be clear, the first thing that she mentions that Kevin Samuels helped her with is getting to the gym. Even though her husband had been trying to get her to the gym, she didn't listen. And she said Kevin Samuels' harshness is what got her into the gym. And that helped her. This is what she's saying, advice that helped her in her marriage.
Now, and I could sit at my desk working for 16 to 18 hours straight, right? But then a week will go by and I'll literally be I was supposed to go to the gym. I keep waking up and putting on workout leggings and a workout outfit and I never go to the gym, right? I'll be oh, I'm going to go at lunchtime. Lunchtime comes, oh, I'm in the zone. I can't go, right? So obviously it's something that's important to me, right? Or at least I want it to be important to me, but I've never been able to really find a reason to.
Wait a minute, hold on. That was Katie J she put up a little thing. Now this is some of the delusion. Hold on.
Putting on workout leggings and a workout outfit and I never go to the gym, right? I'll be oh, I'm going to go at lunchtime. Lunchtime comes, oh, I'm in the zone. I can't go, right? So obviously.
Okay, there it goes. There's that sister Katie J. She puts up a message here. Like I said, I was going to go in the chat, but I'm seeing some of them here. Women want a man, period. When we go offline and look around, that's what it boils down to. LOL. See, but that's not what she said when she was asked about the type of man. I don't believe this statement. I believe what she said earlier, that the type of man that she want when they're asked what type of man they want, and then they come up with this list, that's what they're waiting for. She doesn't want just any man because she shot down. If you just wanted any man, okay, if you trust Omowale and he knows a brother that's gonna that wants to that's looking to get married, and he's willing to arrange you to get married to that brother, you put the brakes on. It's can I have a say in whether or not I like him? So she doesn't want a man, just any man, period. Because the brother was willing to arrange a marriage for her. As if he wouldn't know which brother got a revolutionary mindset or African-centered mind that he could pair you up with. But when it came down to it, nope, let me put the brakes on. I still got to be able to say no, and he got to be attractive too. So you had too many qualities to say you just want any man or I just want a man, period. That's not true. I'm sorry. I saw that and I just.
It's something that's important to me, right? Or at least I want it to be important to me, but I've never been able to really find a reason to prioritize it. Some of his content has helped me literally understand why it's something that I need to prioritize. And as a result, I've actually been going to the gym. It's just for general health, right? I'm someone who cares about my health. I literally had type 2 diabetes that I reversed purely with diet, right? Like no grains, and literally was able to
Okay,
do something that like 5
see, how
endocrinologists
long
told
is
me
she
that
gonna
was
play?
impossible. They're like, no, you're going to be on metformin forever. And I'm like, well, I'm not about this drug life. So I figured it out, right? So if I put my mind to something, I'm going to do it, but I have trouble maintaining it. So what I learned from him is that I have trouble with like discipline. And I could hear it, you know, like it makes sense. Like, oh, like I can relate to these callers. Like I too lack discipline, right? So hearing it from someone who I guess wasn't coming from a place of love, because when it's coming from a place of love from my husband, it doesn't really move me. So
Okay.
maybe I just need to hear it as like, you know, like the father from the 1950s or whatever, even though like I'm not really, you know, like I don't care about American 1950s or whatever. But it helped, you know. So now I'm able to go, like I've been able to go at least 3 times a week, even.
Yeah. Okay. So the sister had diabetes, KDJ. So you know, I guess I wasn't that far off with her weight being an issue.
So I'm still a workaholic. I've been able to actually prioritize it
Okay. Is
because
this
now I'm
sister gonna get
hearing
to the
him
next thing?
in my head, like saying some real shit that makes sense. You know, like the way
Yeah.
he breaks it down. Like, and I whatchamacallit, I think it's because he's like an engineer by like trade, like his degree or whatever, like his training
I
is in
think
like
also, I think
engineering.
he's a salesman.
I mean,
Like
yeah,
his
the salesman
so
obviously
the
works,
way to
but
make things very simple in terms of how
yeah.
he conveys messaging.
Chronology
Well,
is kind of all over.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Oh, I was just gonna say the chronology of his career is a little question.
Oh, okay. Whatever. All right. So it is, and if you listen to him, he was in school for engineering degree, got cancer, left school, worked some jobs. Then he was in sales for the most part. It's not that hard. Anyway, so I'm gonna end this one here because you know I think I made the point that this is her authentic. This is how she authentically feels. Now I'm gonna say this before we get to anything else, that anything that she was helped by, that she said that she was helped by, even if she comes back later and says, "Oh, he didn't help me at all," it can't be undone if your behavior actually changed because of him. I just want to state that. Okay. Let me see if I can go to the. Don't want to go to. No, I'm going to skip the chat. Let's get to the last one because we're going on here. It's almost 3 hours.
Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so now this is Omowale. Excuse me. This is office hours with Omowale from October 18th. So we skipped a couple of weeks. What is about 2 weeks since the last clip that was just played, and hold on, let me see something here. Okay, so yeah, let's get to it. All right, so now the reason why I'm playing this one here is I just want to point this out real quick. Okay, it's the sister Awa again. Same sisters are on here again, but I want you to hear Sister Awa this time. Let me see. Where did she start talking? Is she talking now? Yeah, it must be. Yeah, must be right around here. Looks like it's just these two, so she's probably gonna start talking here.
I think I finished watching it, but I feel like for the most part.
Okay, hold on. Let me back up a little bit.
How are you?
Okay.
I'm doing well. Now you had a whole diary of questions.
No, so I actually didn't have questions. I don't know if you remember, but basically what happened was I watched your show that you recommended that I watch, which was the what Dr. Umar got wrong about Kevin Samuels. So I think I finished watching it, but I feel like for the most part, like I agreed with like your assessment of him, right? And so like everything you said made sense, and even as to like why I would be, you know, like attracted to that kind of information. So, but I think there was a caller on there who kind of put things
She
like,
she called in yesterday too. That was Sister Pro Woman.
yes, pro woman, yes,
Mhm.
exactly, yes. So she kind of like, it was like an aha moment that happened, right? So she said something to the extent of like, Kevin Samuels is like your gay best friend. And I felt that, right? Because I was
Mm.
like, oh shit, like that makes sense. Because I don't know if any other ladies here has ever had a gay best friend, but like they are 100% like real with you, right? They don't hold back, but it comes off like not like they're trying to hurt you, you know, like they're just like honest, you know? So, but I thought that that made a lot of sense to me. Like I could totally see that. And especially like he is like, you know, kind of on the feminine side and, you know, like wears bags and like likes shoes, you know, like all the things that us girls like stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. Like he's literally like your gay best friend.
Okay, now I just want to let that play, and then here's another brother that's constantly saying, "Okay, so now Omowale is back locked in, right? Look at his body language. He's leaning forward. He's locked in. Smiles. She's questioning his he's gay, likes bags and shoes, and he's like your gay best friend. And this guy Bomani, he's one of the brothers that are on that whole it's black culture trash. He was talking about that then, right? Okay. So I don't know if Omowale, you have to actually, I think through StreamYard, you have to actually, if you get a chat, a comment, you can highlight it up at the top. You can show it. If it's normally in the regular YouTube chat, but you have to actually bring this up. So he smiles and highlights this, comment. So now she's walking back. She's walking back all of the stuff that she said just on October 4th. But like I said, it's clear that she was shamed and or bullied, and Omowale pulled her to the side because he wasn't expecting that her to get up there and say all that stuff. And like I said, she can't, and I'm not going to play all of this because my point, the point is made. She's just going to basically says there's nothing that Kevin Samuels says is of any benefit. I gave you the Omowale After Dark, Office Hours After Dark with Omowale on October 18th. You can go play and listen to the rest of yourself. I'm going to try to wrap this up here. Um, but now she's walking it back, right? So Omowale obviously pulled her to the side, told her to look at some certain videos, and the video with the one he said about with Umar, what Umar got wrong wasn't bad. It was a fair critique at the time, but he's definitely shifted in terms of how he wants to deal with Kevin Samuels. Remember, I pointed out certain things. He was like, and I played it a couple times. I'm not here to question anyone's sexuality, right? He's not here to question anyone's sexuality, and um, that's kind of really what I that's really kind of what I wanted to say. He's like he said, he's giddy here. There's something else she's gonna
So
say.
I
Let me see.
think if you look at it that way, you know, um,
But he's happy now. He's smiling.
that's,
He's giddy.
I don't know. I don't want to like turn this into
She's
a
remember, if you get out of line, you get whacked. Everybody knew the rules. She got out of line on the last episode. He had to get he had to subtly get her back in line. Watch these videos, and then because like I said, the first one that if you watch it, it's fair. It's not a harsh critique of Kevin Samuels. And then she went so far. She went to the extreme. She said Omowale still up until October 4th was still saying, "Hey, he makes valid points." Now she's saying he doesn't make any points. He doesn't make any valid points. I don't want anybody listening to him. Sorry, you guys can't stop the train. It's done. It's a wrap. No matter what, I don't care what Omowale puts out at this point about Kevin Samuels. It's a wrap. And honestly, now I'm gonna get into my full critique, and I'm gonna I'm going to share something else here. I'm going to share something else here. Actually, I'm going to share two things. First, I'm going to go to here. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to go to his community tab. I'm going to go to his community tab. Okay, so look at this. He was dead serious. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. I'm coming out. I want to let. Okay, all right. Just we need to start advocating for men to be with men. Kevin, different shades, Brown, Samuels. Okay. Okay. All right. That's it for that. I just wanted. I'm just pointing out these are his thoughts. They're on his. They're on his. They're on his community tab. And then, okay, here we go. This is on his Twitter. To the Samuelites on the timeline, I need answers. Y'all co-signing this? We need to advocate for more men to be with men, comment. Or are y'all sticking with Kevin different shades of Brown Samuels? Had a Freudian slip. If this was a slip, what the hell was he trying to say? Okay, brother, I thought you wasn't questioning anybody's sexuality. That's not what you're here for. But that's what gets clicks and views. And honestly, you know what? Let me go back. I should have did this first and then that last that way. But honestly, let's look at this. Let me look at his YouTube. Because I said I was going to do this anyway. I was going to look at the videos between. Okay. All right. So where is it? This is back in May. Right around here. Okay, so here's the video. What Dr. Umar got wrong about Kevin Samuels. This is in May. This is back in May, and then just trying to get this podcast together. So these are some excellent podcasts, excellent material, good information, right? This is good information too. Anyway, and the point I'm bringing this up, I wanted you to see some of the titles of these things, and you'll get the point in a second here. Okay, so this is his coming out day, why he chose the manosphere. All right, so here it is right here. The romanization of black males, the semen-filled red pills. What is this? I can't remember all the whole title. Yeah, the semen-filled red pills and the romanization of black male values. Okay, that's one. And then let's see. What the hell is it? Can't see half of these damn things. What the hell is it? The hypergamous manhood, and what the hell is the last one? Intellectual eunuchs. What the hell is that at? Well, yeah, political unicism of divested manhood. No, divested politics. I'm sorry. Anyway, so if you look at these semen-filled red pills and romanization of black males and the hypergamous manhood and political eunuchs or so forth. A lot of that just basically what Omowale is done. And like I said, and it's good information. I would encourage everybody to go check it out. What have you? It's not gonna affect Kevin Samuels in any way. And it's that train, that ship has sailed. That train is rolling. Omowale's not going to be able to stop it. But all he's done is really he's he's saying it in a more intellectual way, but he's basically talking about how the lack of manhood and or Kevin Samuels and Anton and the other some of the Manosphere brothers are just um you know the concubines of the white man. I'll say it that way. I'll say it that way. And all this, putting him in pink, it all is just an intellectual way of saying, hey, these dudes are gay. That's really what it boils down to, and that's really all it's going to amount to, in my opinion. Because Omowale doesn't have an answer. Because, like I said earlier, snap your fingers. Kevin Samuels is gone. The Manosphere is gone. Red Pill, MGTOW, all of that stuff is gone, right? And or snap your fingers. All of these guys come out as gay. Kevin Samuels, Anton, Manosphere, Black, Red Pill, all of these guys that he's been taking shots at, right? All of it is gone, or they come out as gay. It doesn't change the fact there's still an issue that he doesn't know how to solve himself. Because if he were, he would be solving it, as opposed to just making content the way he's making content, or what he's making content about. He's not attacking the argument. He's only attacking the people. This right here is nothing but different shades of Kevin Samuel. Even if he said that, okay, I don't. What does it matter? You're not here to speculate on anybody's sexuality. But 5 months later, that's changed. Now you're down in the dirt. Now you're down in the dirt. I guess the likes are good, going at the Manosphere and so forth. And I mean, the views are good. Whatever it is, whatever the motivation is, I wouldn't normally say a brother is clout chasing, but at this point, if you're not solving the problem that you claimed was a real problem, and all you're doing at this point is, making content to talk about other people, and I'm only bringing this up because I'm going to share this because I thought this was real interesting. Because he accused, and rightfully so, because he said it, right? You accused Anton Daniels of punching down. But I'm starting to think that you're doing the same thing. Because in this episode 9, you're talking about black men and the negative impacts of low racial self-esteem. And you're talking, in this particular point, I think you were talking about where Garvey, I don't want to play because, like I said, I'm trying to finish this live stream up. But I do want to play a portion of it, because I mean, this is unbelievable to me. Jay-Z. Here, let me just play it. Let me just play your words. Let me just play your words.
It really does start with a transformation of
with
consciousness, because I always say it. This is a tweet I put up back on January the 27th, 2018. It was around the time of the Rock Nation brunch. And what I posted was that being conscious sometimes is a gift and a curse. I said, there's a small part of me that wants to celebrate Black ascendancy with an empire, a la the Rock Nation brunch. But as a student of Garvey, I understand the danger in celebrating the tokens the white world has polished for us, right? So you see this image here of Diddy and Jay-Z, with the champagne flutes, and they're toasting and celebrating, and everybody is like, hey, Black excellence. And it's hard for me. It's like, I want to celebrate that, because I want to see Black men, I want to see Black women, I want to see Black people win. But win at what cause? And win on whose terms? Because when we talk about black excellence, oftentimes we're not talking about on our terms, right? We're talking about black excellence as in mirroring what we consider to be excellent in the European world.
And now that's a very true statement. I totally agree with that. But it's the next, it's the next part that is just kind of like what?
Right? We don't see black excellence as fighting for your people, as fighting for your land, as fighting for your sovereignty, as working to build your nation, as working to build and develop your own institutions. That's not what we see as black excellence. And that's a problem, right? Garvey wrote an amazing essay in the philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey, and the essay is called a race paradox.
Oh, okay. I got the wrong part. But I agree with all of that. What he just said there. The part that I'm talking about doesn't come here. I'm too far back, I guess. Let me see.
When
Where
I
is it?
when I wrote that about it being difficult to celebrate black ascendancy within the empire, because it's like the higher you ascend on their terms, the lower you descend on your own terms. Does that make sense?
Yes, that
The
that
higher you
absolutely.
go
Let me
in
see. Find the part.
in their world, it's like that J Cole lyric when he say, "The good news is you've came a long way. The bad news is that you went the wrong way." It's like you ran really far, but like in the wrong direction. I mean, you ran all the way to the 99th floor of a building that's being condemned. So it's like, yeah, I love to see us win. I love to see us feel good, but I have to remind us of the real serious work that we are neglecting. And I argue that we are neglecting it because we suffer from low racial self-esteem. So let me go ahead and read this clip right here. Or I'm sorry, let me go ahead and read this excerpt from
Okay,
Marcus
hold
Garvey.
on. And
Garvey says, and
I'm too far behind. And I want to read this. And normally, time I would let him read it because it's actually excellent information. But I'm trying to get to a point here because it's I'm way past what I thought I would have done to do this. I don't.
I know musically, I'm a big fan of
Okay, yeah,
Jay.
there it is. Here it is. All right.
Black people are the ones that are laboring to establish some type of racial institution or racial camaraderie or be on code or to work in unison so that we can build and protect ourselves. He's saying it's the lower class and the middle class is willing to do this work, not the rich. The rich may invest in your company, right? You know, Jay-Z is always investing. And this is no knock on Jay. Y'all know musically, I'm a big fan of Jay. I have some critiques of Jay, but they fit within the context of this particular system. So many of the critiques that I would have of Jay could equally apply to all black men in the system, right? So, not to pick on Jay, like I don't want nobody to think that that's what I'm here doing.
See,
Clearly that's not what
I'm sorry, Omowale, and I like you, brother. And like I said, this wasn't an attack on you, but that's such a coon statement. I'm not here to pick on Jay. And this is where I said that you were. I felt like you're punching down. You can, you can pick on the brothers in the manosphere, but someone who's done more damage and who's a bigger European coon than any brother in the manosphere, you say you're a fan of their music. And see, this is why brothers shouldn't be fans of any man. You can respect what he does. You can respect the talent. You can respect the God-given talent that the brother has to maybe put words together, et cetera, et cetera. Like I stopped listening to rap before he got on the scene. So I don't know how good or great the dude is or what have you. I've, heard songs of his in passing. He doesn't have the best voice. He doesn't have a Rakim or Big Daddy Kane voice to me. But I'm from the old school. I'm that's my era. So I, even if I was still listening to rap today, I probably would still hold those guys up above these guys today. But nonetheless, that's from my era. Those guys were just better to me. And actually, I think he came up under one of them guys, right? Big Daddy Kane, I think. But nonetheless, let me not digress. But it's a coon statement to sit up here and say, I'm a fan of this man. I got critiques of him. I'm a fan of his music. He's done more harm to the black community than Kevin Samuels, but you don't want to pick on Jay. Come on, brother. That's a coon statement, man. And I like you, man. Well, I don't know you. But let me say this. I like the work that you do. I like the content that you put out. I think you're an intelligent brother, and you know, we obviously need more, uh, not necessarily with your frame of mind, but with some regards, because we can't all be the same thinking people. We have to have different thoughts and feelings and so forth and concerns to make a nation. Everybody can't be the exact same cookie cutter, type of person. But that's a coon statement. I'm a fan of his music, and I'm a fan of it. I'm not here to attack him. I'm not to pick on Jay. Pick on Jay. What are you talking about? But you can you can pick on these dudes in the manosphere. You could question the brother's sexuality, but when it comes to Jay-Z, who's so dope in the community by his own admission, right? The music that he's made that's been harmful, even he said, and he's an opportunist. We know this. We know Jay-Z is an opportunist because when Me Too came out, first thing that I read that he said, yeah, all these. I'm ashamed of some of the lyrics that I said back in there, in particular with Big Pimpin'. Man, that's a coon. Man, that dude's a coon, and you know he is. But I'm a fan of his music, so I ain't here to pick on him. It's a coon statement. This is why I said when you let people talk long enough, they expose themselves. You kind of exposing yourself here, brother. So is it that you're just getting on these brothers on the manosphere as a way to get your content out there? But I ain't gonna pick on Jay. Like that don't even make sense when he's done more damage to the black community than these brothers in the manosphere. Kevin Samuels, since Kevin Samuels is the biggest, he's only got 1 million followers on YouTube and Instagram, and it's been less than a year that he's had that type of following. Jay Z has been rapping these lyrics and doing the crap that he's been doing for over 20 years, easy. Because I remember him when he was little with Jazz O back in Hawaiian Sophie days. I remember that video when I was listening to rap back in the days. I was like, yeah, that's the same little cat. But he's a dope dealers, dope pushers, and these kind of dudes are the biggest coons in the community. They're bigger coons than the Afrocentric dudes, excuse me, the Eurocentric dudes that you talk about, the Negropeans that a lot of people like to call them. I'm sorry, the bigger coons in the community are those out here robbing and stealing and selling dope. Jay Z sold dope. He's a coon. You a fan of this coon's music. And it's a coon statement to sit up here and say I'm a fan of this music, but I'm not here to pick on Jay. Come on, man. Let me keep going because you said some more. You said you made a couple of more coon statements about Jay-Z. This is why brothers shouldn't be fans of men. You're a fan of this dude. Yeah, you got some critiques of him, but you don't want to say you're not here to pick on Jay. Jay is a bigger. You say it could apply to all of us in the all the men in the black community. Yes, agreed. Who's who's the worst of it? Him. That dude is worse than any of us in terms of selling out his community. Hit the dude to do anything to make $1. And you a fan of this dude's music, man. And and I'm older than you, so this is like um this is how I would talk to my little brother. Even if he got more knowledge than me in a certain subject and certain things that I can see that you can't see, that's a coon statement, man.
Use Jay specifically because I don't want to again
Hold
make
on.
it personal.
See, look at it. I don't want to make. Hold on. This is the part.
That would result to.
I don't want to make it personal. I don't want to make it.
You with like, hey, this is a noble cause, right? So like if let's say Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, or go to Jay-Z and say, hey Jay, give your money to this cause, he would be probably. Let me not use Jay specifically.
See, look at this
because I don't want to again make it personal.
Why not? And why don't you want to make it personal with Jay-Z? You making it personal with Kevin Samuels and any of these other dudes. And like I said, I'm not here to defend no men, but I'm here to call out the bull crap. I'm here to call out the cooning. You're doing some cooning here, man. You can take shots at Kevin Samuels every time you turn around. Everything this dude something happened on this show, everything that happened on Anton's show, you tweet about it. You make some you add it in your videos. And I don't have no problem with that. men got to be able to stand on their own. But to sit up here and say I'm not gonna make it personal with Jay-Z, and you can make it personal with these brothers on YouTube, that seems to me like you're punching down now. You ain't gonna go out. You ain't gonna go after the one who's actually the real coon. Jay-Z is a coon, and you're like, I don't want to make it personal with Jay-Z. Why? You know him, or you must know some rappers that know him that it could get back to him. You're afraid of what he gonna say and think about you. This is some cooning, man. You cooning right here, brother. And I like this episode, but when I heard it, I was like, what? You don't want to make it personal with Jay-Z, and I'm seeing how you going at these brothers on the manosphere. This is coon talk. And we all might do it from time to time, but I'm just telling you, when you're doing it in this aspect, keep that same energy, bro. Keep that same energy with these coons. You started, I think it might have been this episode, because you came in with the tank top on, so you might have came in with the hip hop, some hip hop talking about in this, in that, in this. How can a brother say he's African centered listen to that type of music, man? That's hypocrisy in itself. And I'm sorry, I'm going out. This is all love. This is just man talk. Because when a brother's cooning and is as intelligent as you, and you can't see it because you're in your own point of view, this is coon talk. I don't want to make it. Let me play this again. I don't want to make it personal with Jay-Z. Like, what? Who the hell is this? You about to get me to say the N-word. I'm about to call him that. I don't want to make it personal with Jay-Z. Like, man, see, this is when brothers are fans of people, they're not objective.
You with like, hey, this is a noble cause, right? So like, if let's say Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, or go to Jay-Z and say, hey, Jay, give your money to this cause, he would be probably, let me not use Jay specifically because I don't want to, again, make it personal, but an individual of that stature.
See, look at this. I don't want to make it personal. See, now you had all this smoke with all these brothers saying, they got to pick up their nuts, Jay-Z's nuts on your lap. I mean, come on, bro. This is coon talk. Don't go out like this, man. Keep the same energy you got for Kevin Samuels and the Manosphere, have for Jay-Z, Diddy, any of these other rappers out here doing this craziness. And you from Philly, so this is probably why you have such an affinity for Jay-Z since I don't know, what's that one rapper that's from Philly? He was on the Breakfast Club. He pulled up on Charlemagne and on the Breakfast Club one time some years back in an interview. He was with Jay-Z and them guys. He was in that, whatever his name is. You guys know who I'm talking about. The brother, he's a Muslim too, so I know him from being Muslim, because he was saying it on that Breakfast Club interview. He had some issue with Charlemagne on that interview. Y'all know who I'm talking about. If you're in the comments, remind me who this brother is. I'll probably remember once I get off the live. But so you from there's a lot of Philly. There's a lot of rappers in Philly and so forth and so on. I don't know, Meat Mill, and I think, what's the brother name that did your intro? I don't know. I forget these guys' names. But anyway, some guy that did your intro to he was rapping to your intro. He did some acting too. I've seen him in a couple movies. But nonetheless, I don't want to get sidetracked. That's a coon statement. I'm gonna play it again. I don't want to make it personal with Jay-Z. You making it personal with all these other brothers.
Tradition company, while another.
And let me just say this: Jay-Z has a bigger European mindset than Kevin Samuels, any of them, all them brothers in the Manosphere put together. Just because he doesn't tout it, and he doesn't he's not on YouTube like this. He's past that. He's beyond that point. He's right up there in the coon sphere with Warren Buffett. That's why you mentioned Warren Buffett, because those are the people that he rolls with. But you don't want to make it personal with Jay-Z. Keep the same energy, bro.
Other worthy Negroes seeking help in any racially helpful effort or enterprise.
This fits Jay-Z, but you don't want to make it personal.
And treated with suspicion and contempt. If he were to approach the same individual for help, that would result to mutual benefit, right? So he's basically saying, if a dude has money and a white person, comes to you with like, hey, this is a noble cause, right? So like, if let's say Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, or go to Jay-Z and say, hey, Jay, give your money to this cause, he would be probably, let me not use Jay specifically because I don't want to again make it personal, but an individual of that.
Oh my God, I don't want to make it personal. You know, I'm not here to pick on Jay, not to make it personal with Jay. I'm a fan of Jay's music. Man, that's coon talk, man. Dang. Yeah, like I said, and you got good content, but being a fan of another man is a problem because you're not keeping the same energy. You are you're cooning it up for Jay-Z, and I'm just calling it like it is because that's a coon statement. I'm a fan of his music. Yeah, I got critiques, but I don't want to make it personal. I don't want to pick on Jay. Like this dude personally or something, man. And even if you did, that would make it even worse because you should be able to have a real conversation with him and say, "Hey, look, there's some cooning that you're doing. Jay-Z's a coon. I don't care. I don't care what he's done for the black community in terms of with what little bit of whatever money that he's donating and whatever else now. If he ever if and I don't know, like I don't know this dude's history. Just I don't follow celebrities like that anyway. But to if that dude anything that dude and didn't he like was on trial for stabbing somebody or something like this allegedly or whatever. So if that dude has ever been responsible for the death of one black person, one, there's no amount of good that he can ever do for the black community to repay that debt that he owes the black community for taking that life. None. Because he can't bring that brother or that sister back to life. There's nothing, there's no amount of money that he can repay. There's no amount of good that he can do to repay that debt to the black community for taking that life. These dudes are coons, and I'm a fan of this dude, man. That's a coon statement. Let me get up out of here because I'm getting let me just stop this thing because and I can keep going, but I'm gonna stop it here. I want to hear these coon statements, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'll give my final thoughts because you know, just don't do this cooning, man. Man, come with the coon statements like that, bro. Keep the same energy. If you don't have all this smoke for these dudes in the manosphere, keep the same energy for these rappers, man. Keep that same energy. So anyway, I pretty much throughout stated my I pretty much throughout stated my final thoughts that you know in terms of this funny meme, like I said, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of any man. I'm not a fan of Kevin Samuels. I'm not a fan of any of these brothers on here, including Omowale. I like the content that the brother puts out. I like some of the things that Dr. Umar says. I like some of the things that Kevin Samuel says. Hell, I like some of the things that Simp Watkins says sometimes, right? They all have their own things that they can add here or there. And it's like a point that I didn't think about. I'm like, okay, that's a good point. It is what it is, but I'm not a fan of anybody. Now, as far as Kevin Samuels goes, like I said, this train is going to keep rolling. Omowale, you're not going to stop it. There's people with bigger platforms than you that tried to take him down and it didn't work. It's not going to work. At best, the people that are listening to you are already African centered anyway. There will be some people to look at to view it just because it has his name in it or it's talking about certain people, certain individuals. And, the minuscule numbers of people that will come over to your side and or reject him, it's pretty much already been established at this point. Kevin Samuels is popular enough at this point to where people who are gonna rock with him are gonna rock with him, and people who decided not to rock with him are not going to rock with him anyway, right? Even the people when Umar went at Kevin Samuels for whatever, even on Twitter, The people who hated Dr. Umar was now fans of Umar because he only went after Kevin Samuels because Kevin Samuels was bigger at the time. They just want somebody to take down the person that they don't like. But you're not going to be able to do it, right? The train is going to keep going. But the best thing that you could do, and this is a sincere advice in Arabic, we call it nasiha. If you want to keep talking about that analogy, and you, like I said, you're using it incorrectly because you're not holding up a clean glass of water to a dirty glass of water because you're not providing the same service that Kevin Samuels is providing. A sister KDJ came to you and asked you about parent and you ain't have no answer for it. That's just one sister. What happens when there's, you know, thousands asking you how what should they do in order to find a man to get married to? What you gonna keep saying? You gonna keep saying arranged marriage, polygyny? I mean, come on, man. That's the clean glass of water. If you're saying, hey, he's saying these things, and it's coming from a European, Eurocentric mindset. Well, here's the African centered or Afrocentric mindset of how to get men and women married. Then you offer it to the people. That's the clean glass of water versus the dirty glass. But you sitting up here just basically saying in an intellectual way that, hey, Kevin Samuels is gay and Anton Daniels is they're trying to be hypergamous manhood, and they're just trying to be, they don't want their women to cozy up to the white man because that's their position, and all that just screams of, hey, they just want to be the white man's hoe. That's all you're saying in an intellectual way. When you really break it down, when it comes down to brass tacks, right? You give historical background to it, but that's at the end of the day, that's the short and tall of it. But that's not going to take him down because people just straight up called him gay, and you know, uh, he was exposed for having the dude in the bed or whatever it was. Did that stop his popularity? No. What stopped his popularity at this point? Nothing. So you saying this isn't either. So the best thing that you could do is actually solve the thing that you recognize as a real problem. So if you keep down this path, then you're gonna have a credibility issue because then it's gonna look like you're clout chasing. You know what I mean? Like you're not serious about the thing that you said was a problem because you're not now trying to solve it. Okay, you've pointed out the mindset of the brothers in the manosphere. You've pointed that out. You can't keep pointing it out. I mean, like, what else you gonna do? You're gonna keep making the same videos over and over and over again? No, you got to solve the problem that you said was a real problem. That's how you offer the clean glass of water. This is okay. The things that he's saying doesn't work for us. Okay, then all right, from an African centered standpoint, then how does it work for us? And I ain't so clear that that is going to solve our issue either, right? Neither either way may or may not solve the issue. We won't know until it happens. Because if you want to take and say, if you want to revert back to the past of everything that was done in African society from the past 200, 300, whatever years ago, however many years back in the past, if those things presently aren't working for the Africans, how is it going to work for? And I'm talking about the Africans in Africa. How is it going to work for Black Americans or Africans here in America? Right? Maybe adopting a 13th century or 15th or 18th century strategy for 21st century Africans. Maybe that isn't the best idea. Maybe analyzing our situation right now and coming up with strategies from a 21st century perspective to solve our problems, because you saw what happened when you just offered one sister that sister rejected you. when you said, "Oh, let me arrange," basically, what about arranged marriage? She was like, "Oh, hell no, I gotta have a choice, and then I want all these things." And then, of course, polygyny is out of the question. They don't want that either. I don't care if they are African centered. These women raised in a modern time do not want those things that you're offering. That's why the majority of Kevin Samuel's followers are not African centered. So you have to come up with something that, uh, and that's only if you're serious about what you stated was a problem. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't have an answer for it. If I did have an answer for it, that's what I'd be making videos around, offering a counter. If and especially if I thought Kevin Samuels, what he was doing was wrong. Like I said, I don't know yet. I don't know the outcome. I don't know what the outcome is going to be of what he's doing. I do know one thing. It has stopped being about Kevin Samuels a long time ago, because as those sisters, that's why I played that on that thing. People are having conversations now that didn't happen before, you know, uh, and it's not all good that brothers are not afraid, or brothers are no longer afraid to upset black women and say some of the thing and get some of the things off of their chest. Some of it is rooted in, um, people are angry and bitter. There's some of that, but the point of it is okay. The genie is out of the bottle, and you ain't gonna put it back in. I don't care how many more videos you make exposing Kevin Samuels, or the dude can have a full on blown sex tape coming out with him, bussy down in the sheets with another dude, and it doesn't put the genie back in the bottle. Like I was saying with the sister Awa, she can say all this stuff about Kevin Samuels now if she want, but she came on there and she told what the real was, because she gonna say she's a very critical thinker, and all the work that she's done 5 years prior to now, since 2016, she's a very critical thinker. She doesn't just take anything. She did that before she even came on the first episode on October 4th. So that's what she really felt. And then, like I said, you can't put it back in the bottle. If she actually changed her behavior because of what Kevin Samuel says, then she can't come back and say, "Well, it didn't help me. He offered no benefit." Nope, it's too late. You changed your behavior. You're going to the gym, even though your husband couldn't get you to go to the gym. This man got you going to the gym, and that's benefiting you and your husband. You can't put that back in the bottle. Sorry. So the things that the wave, so to speak, that's been started, good or bad, we won't know until the end. 5 years from now, whatever, we won't really know the benefits if women change their perspective and say, "Hey, look, you know what? That electrician, that plumber, that's an attractive man in terms of he's a good partner for me, whether they're African centered or not. I don't care, as long as black people get married, right, and have fruitful marriages and healthy marriages, and produce, you know, black children that are going to be beneficial to the community. That's what's most important. Everybody ain't going to be African centered, and the reason why is just like with you, my brother, Omowale, because when you get down to it, dang, were you really sincere about what you were saying with in the video from May about uh what Umar got wrong about Kevin Samuels? That was the most fair, and now all of a sudden, everything pretty much that you said in there, I'm not going to question nobody's sexuality. You're doing it now. You don't want to get personal with Jay, and you don't want to take shots at Jay, but you're taking shots at everybody else. And like I said, man, stop being fans of men. That's not cool. You can respect the gifts the God-given gifts that men were given. This man was smart. That's why I can say, hey, you're an intelligent brother. That don't take nothing for me to say when I feel it's the truth or when I think it's the truth, and you're showing it. But I'm not a fan. That's why I can critique and say, hey man, you made a coon statement. I don't care how much I respect what you do. That's a coon statement that you made about Jay Z. You don't be on nobody's nuts like that, as you would say. Because I don't like to say stuff like that, but those are some of the things that you say. You on Jay Z's nuts by saying, "Well, I don't want to make it personal with Jay. I don't want to take shots at Jay." Like if you did, that would bother Jay Z. Like that's the thing. That don't even make any sense. Like if you actually was taking shots at Jay Z, like he would give a crap. Like it would really affect him in some kind of way. Like that, but you don't do it because that hurts you. You don't want it hurts you to have to say something negative about Jay Z. It doesn't hurt Jay Z. It hurts you, bro. I can see that in the thing because logically, Jay Z may or may not know who you are. I don't know. I don't know who's in your circles, but nonetheless, it's not going to hurt him. Hell, it didn't I don't know. Fox News was saying crap about Jay Z. It didn't hurt him. I think when he went to Cuba or something, or some lyric or something that I think he rapped about going to Cuba when Obama was in office or something. And Fox News was upset. That didn't hurt him. So you ain't gonna hurt him, but it's gonna hurt you to talk about the dude that you're a fanboy for. Come on, man. And like I said, this is not to defend Kevin Samuels. Um, you know, and what I think about him. Like I said, I don't. I'm agnostic. You know, I'm agnostic. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. Like I said, to make my assessment, did I go back and listen to watch videos of him talking to men? Yep. Did I watch him talking videos of women? Yep. I thought most of it was fair. Some of it, he's I think he's overly emotional. Maybe that's for the views. I don't know because I don't know him personally. Some things that he goes off on, and he'll hear something and got it wrong and then just go off on somebody. I've seen that. I've seen him some people call him out on certain things that he said about the golden rule. He did say that about black women, that they were the most unattractive. Now you could say, you know, he may or may not meant to say it. I don't know. I can't prove it one way or the other, but did he say it? Yes. Did he say what was in the video about men? What is it? How did you say it? Men getting with men, encouraging men to get with men. He did say it. What did he mean by that? I don't know. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. That's just not my lifestyle. If it's his, then it's his. If it ain't, it ain't. I don't care. You know, I don't look for him to um I don't look for him like he doesn't okay, it's like this. I expect more from someone who says they're a Pan Africanist and a Garveyite than someone who um I doesn't identify with that mentality, right? And that's just the way I judge. So if you represent that mentality, then I expect more from you than someone who is clearly um you know in that European mindset. You know, the the fragrances that whatever. I'm like, I have no idea what this guy is talking about. You know, the watches, the clothes, whatever. That's not my. I'm not. That's not my lane. I don't. So someone like that, you take you if there's anything good, but there's if there like I said, you said one of the things that I said that he identified a real problem. I don't have a solution for it. I can admit that. I don't know. But um, if you have a solution for it, which I don't believe you do because it showed, then that's what you should be presenting and not necessarily just presenting you know, I'm going to talk about his sexuality and, he's not real men and that's only going to get you so far, but it's not gonna move the needle. It's not going to change the landscape. The train is rolling. You can't stop it, and it's just going to have to play out, and that's just what it is. So man, those are my final thoughts, brothers. And like I said, this was the thumbnail was just having a little bit of fun. I was like, these cats are coming for this dude, and they can't touch him right now. And that's just what it is. Just continue doing what you're doing, bro. Like I said, I think people should go subscribe. They should hear both sides. I am a subscriber to your channel, and I'll continue to watch. And and if there's some things that I see again like this, it's just, I mean, it is what it is. Is everybody's no one's above being corrected, or no one's above reproach. And I think you made some cool statements about Jay-Z, and I think you are uh you know you are missing the mark. What you're doing is not going to change. It's going to be ineffective. It's only going to, those people who are already African centered and or conscious, they will come over. But those women calling into Kevin Samuel shows every week, they're not coming over and listen to you talk about African this, African that. Not if they're looking to get married to a man and you don't have a solution, bro. That's just the facts, man. Well, let me end this thing here, man. And it's been good. Shout out to all my rebels out there, all those rebel minded people, all those rebels who are wanting to buck the system of white supremacy, any systems that you think are holding us back, any cultures or mindsets, rebel against all of that stuff. That is why I am Robo the Rebel. Peace, family.